Welcome to the Hidden Driveway Show. I'm your host, Amu, and joining me today we have a very special guest, LEXYCAT. If you'd like to introduce
Hi.
yourself.
Okay. Hi, I'm LEXYCAT. I am a vampire. I make nightclub music. I take stimulants. I have hype moments and I play games. I don't know. I don't I don't really think of myself as like a very special guest, but like I really appreciate that. Thank you, and thank you for having me
Well,
on.
I think all my guests are a very special guest, but
Oh, yay, yay. That's good. Well, they
yeah,
are. Everyone that makes music is special
exactly,
because
yeah.
we need more people to do that. More people need to make music, I think.
Yeah, I know you play games, you're playing Minecraft, so normally with people have their camera off, it's just their camera off and that's it. But I guess for people that are watching the video, actually just playing Minecraft the whole time, like while we're doing this. So
Yeah. Well, it gives you something to look at, and it's like this little cage is the inside of my mind, bro. Like this is like where I'm living right now.
yeah, I think Minecraft might come up a little later in the interview though, so we'll get to that when we get to that. But
Sure.
I guess to
All
get
right,
us
all right, all right.
started, is there anything that you'd like to talk about? Is there anything on your mind right now?
Yeah, sure. Okay. I guess I'll start with I don't know if you got that like on recording or whatever. Oh, this sounds gonna distract me. I don't know if we got that on recording or whatever, but I was talking a little earlier just like in the sound test stuff about Twilight, the song.
Mm-hmm.
And I was thinking about that today, like just like in the last 24 hours, because I was writing the Genius bio for the song, because I was thinking, okay, I want people to know this. So the song Twilight, it's about like mental illness, and it's about I have 7 different diagnosed mental illnesses, which is pretty crazy. And that's just the diagnosed ones. But it's about like mainly my sleep disorder. And so like the whole point of that song was that I wanted to make it while like I had like lack of sleep. So the whole point of it was just like I'll make a song while I've every day that I was working on it, I had like 30 hours or more awake. And I don't know, I think that's like an interesting concept, but I guess that's how I'll start talking about things.
Yeah, no, I like songs because like, do you record the vocals for that song too? Like while you were tired?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, recording and producing are not very different like processes for me because when I record, I just like I don't know, like when I'm recording, I kind of just like it becomes seamless. Like it becomes a flow of the production as well because I do everything on my computer. I'm not at any kind of studio and
Yeah.
I don't have to get up. It's all just like a so yeah, like usually to record, all I really have to do is just like turn off my fan so that I don't get like background noise, and then I'll just sing into the mic.
Yeah, and then do you record as you're
Mhm.
producing, or do you like wait until the song's done to
Yeah,
like start?
yeah, no. Well, because often like the vocals will become like a part of the song. I always okay. I think this is how I differ from a lot of other producers in a way, or I guess like producers slash artists. Because I'm a producer first, like vocalist.
Mm-hmm.
I like to use vocals now a lot more than I used to, and I think all my old songs aren't as good as they could be because they don't have my own voice on them. But my voice as an instrument is equal to everything else going on. The thing that's unique about it is okay, there are 2 instruments that I use that have the ability to have like to say things with words. The first one is my voice, and the second one is producer tags. And they are equal to anything else that's going on in the song. So I put as much effort into the vocals as I do like the drums and like the I don't know, like piano or whatever, like anything like that. I'll put as much effort into the vocals as and make them as loud and pronounced and everything as I do like the producer tags, the vocals, everything like that. I don't really think that producer tags at this point, they're more like sound bites that I just
Mm-hmm.
sprinkle in, but I think I have a different flow in terms of how I do that because I've talked to a lot of other artists about this and they've said that like I make my vocals unusually quiet or I focus a lot more on production than vocals, and I think that's just because my voice is just another instrument and I'll treat it that way. Like I'll put a bunch of auto tune on it and I'll do backing vocals, whatever. I don't know. I feel like that's kind of just how it is. I'll definitely record and produce at the same time.
Mm-hmm. You're right though, because I do think your vocals feel very like woven into like the song, especially
Hmm.
because like I know on like heartstrings we'll talk about later, you're using like parts of it as like a leitmotif like throughout the album also.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. No, because I guess part of the thing I like to explore with my music and specifically the vocals is sound files. And the fact that everything is really just like a sound file. And you can use a sound file as a leitmotif. Like, I don't know, I feel like my plan for the future is gonna definitely explore that a little bit more, just to tease some stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I think, like definitely, especially right now, like the fact that a sound file can be recognizable, especially to me, I don't like I have some pretty crazy audio recognition skills. I think a lot of it stems from just the fact I have perfect pitch, so I can recognize leitmotifs very easily. And that's probably what drew me to Undertale so much around like 2020, because that's really how I started out producing on my PC was like Undertale fan songs. But I don't know, like leitmotifs are very special to me, and I'm really glad that you picked that up because it wasn't just a piece of like vocals that I was using as a leitmotif. I was using the whole sound file for the Heart on My Sleeve like vocal track,
Yeah.
and I used that like as I used that several times as a thing. So yeah,
Yeah. Would you consider like the Palkia sound effect on like Revenge Seekers like a similar kind of thing to what you're talking about?
100%, 100%. The the Palkia sound, I find that like really inspiring. I mean, I would say that I'm in a similar mental space to Jane, in terms of, because even before I had Revenge Seekers, I was doing the whole like Wounded Heart thing a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that's another thing that I could bring up. But yeah, I think that, I mean, ultimately it's to me that's just a tag. And I say tag as in terms of like not just a producer tag, but almost the audio form of like a graffiti tag. I mean, I call things like that a tag. Anything like that, I call that the Palkia tag.
Mm-hmm.
Just how like Day Trip took it to 10 or whatever. That like that's a producer tag.
Yeah.
You know, any producer tag like that. A lot of the time, it's just these rapper guys, they hire like some hot girl to say their name or something, and they and she's like, oh my god, like Jimmy made this beat or something. But that's a tag. It's the same way of tagging things as graffiti artists, who I have massive respect for. Graffiti is so fucking cool. But anyway, like it's the same thing as like tagging like a street corner, or like a I don't know, like building your name in Minecraft, like anything like that. I think that the Palkia tag is honestly one of the coolest things I've had in music, and I really wish that people would do more of that kind of thing, because it's so cool when you hear like a soundbite or some kind of file or something that you just recognize from song to song. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I
It's one
feel
of my
like
favorite
you
things
see
in
that a lot
music.
too, because you would sample like I think it was on Angela's side, like you sample like "Be Nice to Me" and
Oh
like
yeah.
the musician chops and like a bunch of other stuff like on
Oh
a
god.
bunch of the songs in
I'm
that
really,
project. So
yeah. Okay, that those things are on heartstrings as well. They're just not noticeable anymore. Like the musician chops are on a lot of songs. It's just that I put so many effects on things now, like samples and anything like that. You would not believe some of the samples I have on heartstrings. Like honestly, I could go into them, but they're crazy. Like,
yeah, I know.
but yeah, no, mm.
I
You
feel,
you've done your research, because that's like a crazy thing to remember. Like I remember when Angelicide Fest came out, my fan base was still mostly just a few people from the GD community, and they got mad. Like people were talking about how annoying it was that I kept spamming the "Be Nice to Me," and I can't blame them for that. I did it a lot, but it was like I don't know, it was funny.
I forget what song. There's some songs where it sounds like legitimately like beautiful, like on that project though, like with the
Yeah,
lead.
well, honestly, I think that it's a really nice melody. Like it, the reason I used it so much is because I was just listening to a lot of Blade at that time,
Mm-hmm.
like a lot of Ice Dancer, and I thought, of it. Also partially because I've always had this idea of like leitmotifs and stuff, and like recognizable stuff from song to song, and like referential stuff. I've always had like an idea of that being beautiful. And it was also a reference to how Frailty. I don't know if you know about the
Oh no,
Frailty
it's like
pad.
that like ambient noise that's in all the
Yeah,
songs, right?
track something consolidated. That's on
Yeah, yeah.
heartstrings a lot as well. Just like that exact sound, because I've never been able to really get over the sound of it. It's like really nice. I don't know.
Yeah, I know there's like the Kodak snare, not Kodak, like there's like a Kodak moment like sound effect. That's on like one of the big like
Oh,
breakdowns also.
Yeah, in Cruelty.
Yeah.
It samples a couple things. It samples, I think it's Experience Haya by Sizzy and Kodak Moment by Jane in like 2 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
And really it just speaks to how I do things. I am a pirate. Piracy is a crime. That's my thing. I'm a pirate. I'm a little mischievous vampire pirate on music. And the thing is, like, I know it's gonna land me in trouble one day, but I really am open about it. Like, I sample things and I steal little pieces of sound from people, even people who I know personally, even people who I respect a lot. I'm still gonna steal from you. I'm gonna rob your shit because that's how art is made. And I don't want to sound like vindictive because I don't think anyone that I sample generally would have a problem with me doing
Yeah.
that. But it's kind of just like, steal or go home in terms of artwork. That's really just how I feel about it because everything in the world that is good is made by stealing. Or not everything, but a lot of things, like 90% of things. I can't think of a single piece of artwork in like music history that is like insanely good and also didn't have a little bit of like theft of some kind in it. I honestly just can't. Like, it's just how it is. Because I think if you're not pirating at least a little, even in terms of just like pirating ideas or stealing kind of like concepts, then you're not being honest with yourself.
Well, I feel like
As
it's
in,
more
okay,
like
here's
of like a being influenced by something, because like you can be influenced and not like steal.
yeah. Well,
Or you
is there
using
a
steal is like a
difference?
more like broad term in this
Is
case.
is there really is there really a difference between having an influence and then stealing something? Because people will be like, "Oh, you stole my whole flow," and that's just taking an influence. Or people would be like, "Oh, you took an influence and then you just stole something." I think it's a fine line. So fine that there may not even be a line. I think it's more of like a spectrum. Because there are situations like the Omaiwa Mu song where it's just like that's just stealing. Like that's stealing straight up. And it didn't
Mm-hmm.
create something beautiful either. And that's why you need to be careful because it's like I don't know, I think crediting is important, but you can't take crediting to an extent where you fall into credentialism and it becomes sort of like I don't know. It's important to be like respectful of the work that you're pirating or using or stealing or sampling or whatever. And it's important to I think be transformative in a way that doesn't just take the original and add nothing to it, but really in terms of okay, here's why I say this, right? So everything takes inspiration from something, like everyone does. It's kind of dishonest to pretend that you don't, I think. It's
Mm-hmm.
like saying like I don't listen to any other music. I mean, you can't not be inspired by something, even if it's something very minor. There's always going to be influences of some kind. And I think that a lot of people like when they want to put in a sample, instead of just being honest with themselves and be like, yeah, I want to put in this sample, they'll instead just like prioritize copyright or prioritize like absolute kind of safety and being, the good guy and not sampling and not pirating, not doing anything like that. They'll prioritize that over the like true nature of their artistic vision and realizing it. Me, I use AI stem separation shit. I use like bad AI, like purposefully bad AI stem separation shit because it creates artifacts.
Mm-hmm.
I'll use like weird things. I'll like rip the drums out of a song and then chop them up and resample that in a different song and then like resample those chopped drums in a third song. Like that's literally what I did for some stuff in heartstrings. Like it's kind of just how it is. Like, and I think if you're not honest with that vision, then it's difficult to be clear with like it's difficult to really put forward your ideas if you're skirting around them by not breaking a few boundaries in the process. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, I mean everyone has influence. I think it's just how you decide to use it.
Yeah,
But actually,
yeah, for
speaking of
sure.
which, though, so I kind of wanted to get
Mm,
into how I first found out about you initially, because I feel like it's kind of through like an
mm,
untraditional like means compared to most
yeah.
people. So, Wicker by Ruby Red was my favorite album of 2024,
Oh,
largely in
yeah,
part due to its great production that was done by people like Bappy, Ty Cox, and Ruby himself
yeah, yeah,
also.
yeah.
And I love the whole album front to back. one song that was always a standout for me was the outro track Guinness, which I've actually seen Ruby
I
say is
yeah.
like the favorite song that they've
Mm.
made on like several occasions. And
No,
you were
Ruby is
actually
the
the
goat.
producer of that song.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
initially, I only knew about you because of that
That's
song and
cool
like
as fuck,
City
honestly.
Lights and like I think like Drastic. You also produced for her too.
Hmm. I
Um,
want to do more songs with Ruby. That's one of the things I want to do this year. Like the second half of this year, B side of this year, I definitely want to do more songs with Ruby because I'm just saying, like, the kid is going places. The kid has already gone places. And to be born in like what 2009, I
yeah,
think Ruby's born in 2000. Like to be born in 2009 and to be doing what they're doing is like wow, right? Like wow. I'm very impressed by Ruby Red, and I want to do more songs with them in the future for sure.
yeah. But that's how I was initially introduced to you. But again, I was only listening to you via like your work with her. But since
Hmm.
then, I've had the chance to dive into your actual like solo work, and I really
Yeah,
love the like I guess kind of like internet tinged like take you have on like dance music, whether it's like drum and
yeah.
bass, like indie and you have some like
Thank you.
I guess like digicore stuff too. I don't know exactly what you call it, but it's like in that realm also.
What do you like? What songs? Like what type of stuff you
It was a
talking
more
about?
recent one that you did. Let me see.
Oh, you talking about Frozen Blood?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
I guess that's just like rage. I don't know. I don't really know like how to describe a lot of music like that. I feel like trap is too like inclusive,
yeah.
but like it all stems from, I'm gonna be honest, it's just like a cringe EDM kid thing to say, but like I don't know. If I had not started listening to Trap Nation in 2015, that song would not have come out because I was like, that was when I first heard 808s in a song. I know it's a really weird, unconventional way to first hear 808s in a song and like properly like pass them and think about them as like, but like that's, and I got into like rap music through like that, and then I explored rap music more. I was like, wow, like this is really good. I'm really into like underground rap, and I'm into the underground hip hop like scene, and I want to get into it more and explore even like deeper cuts than I already do. And I think I need to because that's part of being an artist is taking good influences, not just influences. But
So
yeah,
more
for sure.
piracy. You want
Like
to do more piracy?
well, more piracy, but also but like taking more ideas because the ideas that I implement in my music, this deck is on me. The ideas that I implement in my music are not strictly musical ideas. Like for instance, everything that I see, everything that I take, or everything that happens in my life gets interpreted in some way in my output. It's kind of like you feed me all of these things and then I eat them and then spit something out. And it doesn't matter what I've eaten, but if I've eaten something, then that's gonna come out of I'm gonna shit it out. I mean, I
Mm-hmm.
don't want to be rude, vulgar, whatever, but like that's just how it works. You are what you eat. And in terms of art, then that's just kind of. I've always thought that a lot of like a lot of people's ideal music that they want to make is always like I've had this expression that says like you are like the five closest people to you. And I think in terms of music, it's like you are your ideal form. Maybe if you're not like all there yet and you don't know the techniques, then you'll be getting there. But most people's ideal form is like their five favorite artists in one. And that's definitely how it is for me. I'll say that.
Yeah. So I guess on that topic, like, how did you get into making music at first, and then who are some of your biggest influences for it?
Oh
Because I'm sure
God.
there's a lot that you have, given how many different styles you do.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. Okay. So I first got into making music in 2009. Believe it or not, my dad let me use his like MacBook computer, or maybe it was my mom's Mac. I don't really know. It was like the family computer because we just had one computer back then because it was 2009, and it was a MacBook. And I got on GarageBand, and I was 3 years old, and I started making things. That was honestly the story behind it.
And was this like a were you interested in it, or were your parents kind of showing it to you? Because I feel sometimes they can be like forced on
I
like.
don't. I don't know. I have no idea. I mean, I feel like even before then, I was like beatboxing as like a little kid, as like a toddler.
Mm-hmm.
So like, like it's kind of like there is no. strict stop point for me because I feel like I've been making music in some sense for my entire life, and I can't really think of a time when I wasn't doing that. So it's kind of it's the one thing that I really have. Like I don't know how to. I don't want to be like, oh, deep. Oh, it's my last, it's my last thing, man. But like it really is just like the thing that I do. Like there's no point which I haven't been doing it. I don't know.
Yeah, I know. I was like whistling as a baby too. My parents were like confused
Hmm.
by, and like they put me in piano
Yeah.
when I was like 4, and I wasn't really like rocking with it. And I came back to it later. But it's cool that you started so early because I'd imagine like, especially like that early, you kind of try mashing stuff together because you don't know what anything is, and then you develop your style
Yeah.
over time. So
Yeah. I was just like combining loops and random stuff. Like it was not like anything sophisticated at all. But give me a break, I was 3.
wait,
I
do you
mean,
have those files
right? Like
still?
I do. I
You
have some of them,
do?
but I do, but they're GarageBand files, so I'll need to like put them on a Mac to actually listen to. I don't really. I'll figure it out someday, but I do have them on my
Dude, you
computer.
need
I
to
have a
like dig those
GarageBand.
up. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, I'm going to. I just don't have a GarageBand like computer right, like a Mac
Yeah.
computer that I can put it on. And like I feel like if you tried to import those to like the shitty mobile Apple version of GarageBand in it's literally been like 16 years. So I I don't know if that's gonna work, but I have them. I do have I actually remember what one of them sounds like, but I can't like I don't know how like
Explain it.
I kind of like okay. So I've always been into space as a kid and as an adult. I'm really into like space and the planets, and one of them is called Uranus, like the planet. I think I tried making all of them, but I remember specifically that one, and it used some like dreamy like synth loop from GarageBand, and then like some like I think it was like African drumming of some kind. I don't really remember, but it was just two loops together. But I remember it.
Yeah, and in terms of influences, though,
Oh, influences. Yeah, sorry, I got sidetracked. Okay. I mean, big one, Jane Remover.
yeah,
I feel like she influences everyone at this point. Like whatever the underground is doing at this point is like honestly just whatever she's doing. It's kind of crazy. Machine Girl was a very like I haven't been listening to them as much because I've been I don't know like more in like a rock and sort of like rap type of thing lately. But like definitely a big influence of mine when it comes to electronic music. Especially and soundtracks as well, like the Neon White soundtrack, amazing. Um, there's so many. It's just like for heartstrings definitely like a rock influence. A big influence for that was Yu Yupe, the Vocaloid producer. Really amazing, especially for the time because they were making like similar stuff to how heartstrings sounds in like I don't know like the late 2000s, like 2009 was when the first album came out. So that was pretty incredible.
Oh, actually, do you know
Uh,
Strawberry Hospital? Do you know that artist?
yeah.
That reminds me. Now that I think about it, yeah.
Yeah, no, I think I was listening to a lot of the music in like 2024, like May around that
Mm-hmm.
time, and that's when first started Heartstrings, and I definitely nabbed a few ideas from them. But yeah, no, they're great. I don't know, like yeah, no, Strawberry Hospital is really interesting to me. I think I actually there are a few Strawberry Hospital samples maybe on Heartstrings.
Would you say that like Charms is also one? Because I know you're a big fan of like
Yes,
Skins. Yeah.
Skins. Okay, so there's a lot of lore behind that actually, because Skins, it's not just like a big thing for me. It's like kind of how Heartstrings kind of started almost. And it wouldn't be an album if it wasn't for Skins. Basically, the main like leitmotif on Heartstrings is like
But it's from
very
Claustrophobia, right?
roughly. Yes,
Yeah.
it is. Yeah, it's like one part of it that
Yeah.
I was like, I okay. And the story behind it is it's actually it's sweet, it's cute. I would sing that song sometimes to help my girlfriend get to sleep, and I was like, okay, well, this is like a really like that melody like means a lot to me now because
Mm-hmm.
of that. And so I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna you've you know a lot. I don't know where you're getting this information, but that's like I don't know, like that's crazy. That's like impressive knowledge. That's like elite knowledge. That's crazy.
I mean, I try to prep for these, so thank you.
No, like that, like genuinely props because that's like I don't know, like very few people know that. It's kind of scary. It's scary.
Well, cause like I
Getting
listened
hacked.
through skins and I listened through
Yeah.
oh, what's the other one called that you helped on? Nerves. I listened to
Oh,
both of
Nuffs. Yeah.
those. Yeah.
No, Nuffs.
Admittedly,
um,
I feel like I'm not the biggest fan of
mm,
Charms' voice, but I think the production on like both of those is super cool.
I think the Charm's voice, I don't know, a lot of people love it. Some people don't like it as much. I think it's Charm's sound is very polarizing because a lot of people I've showed Charm's music to, they're like, what is this? Because they hear a literal like they hear someone rapping about like sad things over a garbage disposal 808. That's
Mm-hmm.
how I've seen people call it. To me, that's like the coolest thing that there is. But like to other people, I don't know, maybe they may not like it so much. And in my opinion, it's more like it's, if you kind of get down with the sound, it's more just like genuinely, I think it's not for you, Like it's not made for you. It's not like, and I'm not talking about you specifically with that voice because I'm more talking about the production style. Like I think that it's the forefront still because people even like right now it's what like almost June 2025 and we're
Yeah.
still having people make those like crazy 808 tweets and like the crazy 808 thing that was like started
That was
like
like 3 years
in
ago.
the early, yeah, like 3-4 years ago, and that was all like still going on like back then, and people are only catching on to it now. I think that that's like people are gonna be making stuff like Charms in like 3 years, and then it's gonna become like a whole thing. I wouldn't be surprised if Charms blows up in the next few years.
Mm-hmm.
I would not be surprised because that's just the future of the underground. That's like where the sound is headed,
Yeah. Also,
production wise, especially.
with skins, why you chose the features for heartstrings is like the same two people were on that album. Also.
Yeah, it's funny because it's kind of how it's how it like panned out without me even realizing it. So originally, Y Haze. Oh my God. So this is something that you could not know unless like Y Haze has like maybe you've seen the tweet from them or something, but like I produced a song for Y Haze in 2020. I went under a completely different name. I was not connected to the underground like at all.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think Y Haze really was either at that point because I was apparently the first ever person to send them beats. But I started listening to Charms. I was like, wait, that's like the same Y Haze. Like that's who that is. That's the person I produced for in 2020. That's the person that asked me for like I think it was like a cow and bee type beat in 2020.
Wait,
And I was
Cow and
like,
B.
yeah, like an old like Liu type beat in 2020. Bro, like that was like ancient knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
But I made that beat for Y Haze in 2020 and I was like I found them again and I was like, wait, that's the same person. And it took me a bit to realize it, but it was. And then I reached out to them, I was like, yo, like I'm working on this rock song right now. And that turned out to be Ash Your Cigarette. And that was back in May of 2024. But it's funny that it panned out that way because honestly with Hot Charades, I just think that they have like an amazing voice.
Yeah.
And my friend Zilla was like, you could get like a Hot Charades feature for this song, and I was like, wait, that would work like really well. I should. And then I reached out to them, and that's how that happened. So it's good. I mean, but yeah, like skins definitely, because I think what's important to like know about my life to understand why it's so significant to me is that when I first discovered skins was like that was the month I first moved out of home.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently that's actually a similar experience that Shams had themselves with the album. That like he moved out around the time that he was like making it, which is cool to think about. But like that's like how that came about, I guess. And it just spoke to me in even if like the not all the lyrics were like personally like that relevant to me at the time, it just spoke to me a lot. Just in terms of the feeling it gave me because I was very lonely. I just moved out,
Mm-hmm.
I was kind of just in college all by myself, and it made me it. I think it did very much, imprint on me a lot, and a lot of the ideas that I use to this day are still sort of taken and inspired from that kind of depressed urban feeling that I get from it. It's a similar feeling I get from Frailty and stuff like that, where you're in like a human settlement, but it feels so like desolate and cold. I don't really know how to
Yeah, because like
describe it
Skins
properly,
like
but
it's like it has like ambient plug on like almost for a lot of the album.
yeah, I was listening to it a lot, like when I was just going about my daily tasks and stuff, just, walking around the city, and it definitely was a big influence on me, yeah.
Yeah, I think like Lucy Bedrock also in terms of like production, right?
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. Sorry, I keep forgetting people because I just have so many, but
Yeah,
yeah,
no, I get it.
honestly, I'm so sad that I like couldn't make it to Seattle because I was gonna go to Seattle, but then some stuff came up and then I couldn't. But I really wanted to go to that Jane and Lucy show because it's crazy to me because back in like early 2024 when I was first discovering, not first discovering, but that's when I was first like really getting into Lucy's music. I was like like whoa, like it wouldn't it be crazy if like these two linked up and then they did and I couldn't make it. So I was sad about that, but yeah, definitely those two, like Jane Remover and Lucy Bedrock are my biggest influences by far, I'd say.
Yeah, I feel like Lucy's kind of creating like I guess like your chord progressions because they're so like lush and like full. I feel like Lucy's very similar with that.
Honestly, I've just it's kind of like convergent evolution. Like I've been doing that for a long time. It's just kind of like I definitely like do it in the same way. Like I see what you mean.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's very like yeah, I have a certain way that I do chords in which I feel like chords are the most important part of a song. And I don't know if a lot of people like really do things the same way that I do in that way, but
No, I'm the same way. Like I always start with chords first when I'm working on something.
yeah, yeah, for sure. It's yeah. I mean, I feel like that's like it's a very like music theory thing to do. I'll say that because I was doing music theory until like I was 10, so I don't know.
Mm-hmm. So it's kind of just like ingrained in your process.
Very much, yeah. And it's not even that I think about music theory. I'm not thinking, oh, dominant, tonic, whatever goes here. It's just that I have this sense for chords where I can feel like, okay, this one like sounds how I want it to sound. This one doesn't. So I don't know.
Is that why you detune stuff also? Because I've noticed that's like part of your music as well.
Okay, the reason, and I still don't really know why, but I just think that detuned things sound better to me, and they sound more natural to me. Maybe it's the whole, 432 hertz thing that XXXTentacion was talking about for some reason back in like 2018. I don't know. Maybe it's that like it just sounds like novel. I've thought about that as well. Maybe it's like because I've done a lot of thinking about this. Like, why does it sound different to me? Why do I care if it's detuned? Why does it sound better if it's detuned? And I think that it's probably because like when I was a kid, like a very young kid, on like Sydney radio, I would hear stuff and it would be detuned that I really liked, and I
Mm-hmm.
think that was like for copyright reasons. I'm not really sure why, but I would hear it and it would be like, whoa, like this. I like this a lot detuned, so I think that's why I do it to this day.
Yeah, I know
And
for
it's
at
weird
least for
to me
me,
because
like I have synesthesia, right? So
yeah,
for me
yeah,
when
yeah,
it's
me too.
detuning, I see different colors than I usually see. So like
Yep.
that's like my reason why I prefer it personally.
Quarter tones give you different colors
Yeah.
because when you detune something down to like 50, then it's a quarter tone. I mean, I have the same thing. I have very, very powerful synesthesia.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, chromesthesia, I guess that's what I've seen people call it as well. But like, I have that in perfect pitch and like all of these kinds of things. So it's just my brain is wired in a certain way that it's like that. It just, it just hits the right sound, I guess, most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that I don't detune everything anymore. I think that there are some cases, rarely, where non-detuning things can sound like better in a way. I think if you want music to sound more corporate, you'll never want to detune it because everything corporate is not detuned, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Uh it depends. It's very situational. Because if you detune things and they sound wrong, then you know I think it gives a more authentic feeling to music when you detune it for whatever reason. And it's weird that like it's weird like I feel again like convergent evolution, right? Because I started detuning stuff in 2019. I didn't like pick that up from Frailty or anything like that. Like I've been doing that for a long time, And when I first heard Frailty, and when I first heard those things, I think that's why they resonated with me, which is crazy, right? Because it's just like one setting, it's just detuning it, but it's like, why did they make that choice? And I also made that choice. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think it just feels very like fresh because it's not what you're used to.
Yeah,
Because everything is usually in like
yeah,
standard 440 hertz.
yeah. That's what I was saying. Like, it could be just like a novelty thing, like that it's just not standard, and that's like makes it feel like it's kind of like a new feeling. But I don't I actually just don't know. I'm still trying to figure that out myself.
Yeah, I think it's cool because like it's like a very common thing now. Like I was talking to Danny Kyoko in one of these recently. Like
Oh yeah,
oh my god, they
shout
detune
out.
like everything that they do. So
Yeah. No, shout out Danny Kyoko, honestly.
yeah,
We have
I
a
know.
song. We
Yeah,
have a song that's unfinished. That's I don't know when they're dropping it, but no, yeah.
yeah. For it's
I
like
think
Sutetchi 3, right?
I think so. I'm pretty sure. I'm not I'm not exactly sure what it's from. All I know is that it sounds really good, so I like it. Like, I don't know. No, it's like one of the first things that I've like not self-produced that I've like really fully like I guess like resonated with in a way. I don't know how to explain it.
Mm-hmm.
Because I usually self-prod everything, and I'm pretty. I don't know. Like, I feel bad saying this because a lot of people try to send me beats or ask me if they can send me beats, but I usually won't resonate with something unless I like make it myself or like make the instrumental myself. And I
Mm-hmm.
don't really know why that is. It's just kind of I feel like it's like it can be misinterpreted as an ego thing, but I'm unable to work on something if I don't feel like I have like the vision for it in my mind, and I often just can't get that with other people's like production, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I know you said it was like a rock song for that one, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's really good.
Yeah, so I guess it makes sense because what you've been doing recently. Because like your heartstring stuff is pretty different than like everything prior to it.
Yeah, see, it's funny because I don't even know if I plan on. I definitely gonna use guitars more in the future. Like, gonna keep doing that. But like, I change up my sound a lot. I think people have noticed that. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. So on top of your production style, another thing that immediately stood out to me was like I guess like the
Mm.
consistent like visual identity that you have with your work, because it's all
Oh
very
yeah,
like internet based and like digital aesthetics with from like the late like 2000s and like early 2010s,
yeah,
which
yeah.
resonates with me a
That's.
lot
Mhm.
too because we're both born 2005, so that just kind of makes sense because that's like
Oh
what we
yeah.
grew up on.
Yeah, yes,
So
exactly.
what goes through your mind when you're trying to visualize your art?
Well, as you said with like the synesthesia, I think for me, a visual picture of what I kind of am thinking of is always there. It's funny because I think visuals and audio are so inherently linked for me in such a weird way that it's kind of hard to unlink them. Okay, so like Minecraft, right? Playing
Mm-hmm.
Minecraft puts me in a digital space. And then sometimes when I'm thinking about like the memories of certain things that I've like listened to, like I don't know, I'll put on like an educational YouTube video. I listen to a lot of like I'll often just like put like videos by people like Fern or some documentary channels like that in the background while I play games or something. And often like while I'm like thinking about the stuff that I remember from like the documentary, I'll like remember what I was doing in Minecraft at that time, which is weird because I wouldn't usually remember like something mundane. Like I don't know. Like I remember I was listening to like a some stuff about like what was going on in 90s hip hop
Mm-hmm.
um with like Biggie and like P Diddy's label and stuff like that. And that was while I was clearing like certain like lava pools in the basalt area that I was in. I don't know, like it's weird, and I'm just using that as an example because I feel like yeah, like when I'm making music, I'm always thinking about a digital like art piece behind it, kind of that encompasses it and kind of is the image of it. I can almost see what I'm doing in a way. It's hard to describe, but
Mm-hmm.
they're definitely interlinked, but it not in a way that I choose anything. It's more just it comes to me. And I think that's just how I don't know, because a lot of people ask me about my creative decisions and my direction and my decision making process on stuff. And I feel bad when I can't give them a like a solid answer that doesn't sound like some like new age shit. Because like it really just comes to me. I often just have these moments where I'm like, that's what I need to do, or where I get this sort of clarity, and I get this idea of what I'm making, or I'll hear an idea and I really like it and I'll take someone else's idea and then I'll run with it to the extreme and then add a bunch of new other ideas into the mix. And that's just what happens. I can't give you any I'm sorry, I can't give you any kind of audio visual like choice stuff. I'll just say like I like edgy shit. I like Fruitiga Arrow, Fruitiga Metro, like that whole like I know it's blown up on TikTok lately in the last like it's funny, like I remember in March of 2024 when I was first putting out Glitter, I knew that it was gonna get big. And that's another thing with that song. Like I knew that song from the second I put it out there was gonna get big. I just did. Because it just has all the elements of like a TikTok song. I kind
how
of
big were you at the
like
time when that came out?
not that big. I remember I had not even hit like 100,000 plays on anything, which is like it's like big like relatively like that like 100,000 is a lot, but like compared to how that song is like 100,000 plays as my max is like barely anything, and that was on like Ginseng I think. I don't know. Because like it is noticeable, and I think that 100,000 is still very meaningful to me now for anything that isn't glitter. But like for that song specifically, like I just had this feeling that like okay, if I promote this in a certain way, it's gonna get big, and that's just how I did it. I don't know.
What was your method for promoting it?
It was pretty weird. I don't usually show myself on camera that much, and it's part of the reason. I mean, I just don't have a webcam, so it's part of the reason I'm not showing myself now. Um, but I made like a TikTok video of me just like it's just that whole like trend thing they do where they would just like, oh, I'm doing this until my song blows up. I'm doing this until my song blows up, and it was like, oh, I'm like dancing to the song until it gets famous or whatever. And I can dance. I can do like shuffle, if you know like shuffle dancing. Like I don't know. It's like it's more of like it's more shuffle that's meant for like hard style, but like I can do that. And so I would do that to it. And I did that in 3 different locations. One of them was a mall rooftop. It had the exact framing of like what a TikTok that gets big looks like. To me at the time for TikTok, that was big because I got 600 likes like that. I've never gotten a TikTok with 600 likes before. That's like unheard of, right? The thing is that like all I needed was 600 because immediately the next day people were using it as edit audios, and that's when I knew, okay, I won. The second that people are using a song on TikTok as like an audio or like a soundbite, it's unable to be contained. It's just gonna spiral out of control because people are gonna save the sound and then they're gonna be like, oh, this sound bite sounds good. They're gonna save the sound. A lot of my music, I think, if people knew more of it, like if I had promoted it as aggressively as I had that one, it would be probably just as big, but like with different circles. But it's just like with that one, I knew exactly how to do it and what to do in a way that was very easy and accessible to me. And my promotion, I don't really do much of it because part of it feels like disingenuous and part of it feels just like boring to do. Like it's not interesting to me to promote music. So I don't know.
Wait, how many like posts did it take for it to like take off? Was it just 3?
Oh, 3.
Just 3? That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Well, actually, it was the day 2 one that got big. That was that was the one that got 600 likes because I did that one on a mall rooftop. And there's also there's a big culture on TikTok of people being like, I knew you before you blew up. It's kind of like people who don't create anything, so they just like claim other people's work as like they knew it before they were famous or whatever. I don't know. Like that's a big thing on TikTok. So I had a lot of people in the comments saying stuff like, "Oh, like you're gonna blow up." Like I just know it. Like, I'm claiming you before you get famous or whatever. And first of all, that's very harmful to artists because when you do that, then you're implying that you're not necessarily going to share their work, and sharing like word of mouth is how shit gets around these days. It really is. It's just how things get around these days. People talk about songs and then songs get shared by people as audios and whatever, and like that's just how songs get like published now. I don't know. It is what it is.
Yeah. It's crazy how it's gotten though, because like there's multiple people in my college that have like used your music like on their story.
Yeah.
And it's just like when I know you for working with rubyred, it's just so like surreal seeing that.
Yeah, no, I feel like a lot of people said that they know me as like on a personal level, and they'll be like, dude, like I saw this like someone at my workplace like use this or like put it on the radio or something. Not the radio, but like the aux cord or
Yeah.
something, and that's like you, and I saw your name. And it's like people I haven't spoken to like 4 years, like saying that to me, and that's just wild how much it's like how much attention it's gained because that really puts it in perspective when people say that to me. To be honest with it, it's just like I don't even feel responsible for it anymore. As funny as that sounds, I just feel like I'm not like it's not mine anymore. It
Yeah.
belongs to TikTok now. It belongs to the collective conscious. It's not my song anymore. And I feel the same happens to a lot of I mean the same happens to every song when you put it out there, but the more attention it gains, it stops being yours, more and more. That's kind of why I haven't been as aggressive with promoting more personal stuff to me like Heartstrings and Dark Blossom because it's not meant to be made into a commodity. It's really meant to be something which people connect with and
Yeah.
people heal from, rather than becoming like a commodified thing. That's just why I don't know.
Yeah. Do you still like
And I think
glitter, or is it like whatever to you now?
um it's a song. I mean, it's
Yeah.
it I don't hate it. It's just I've maybe heard it over 2,000 times. So it stopped really being a song and more has started just being like something that it started more being like corporate speak to me. Like it's just like it's the moneymaker, it's the breadwinner, it's what gets me. I mean, it's what's allowing me to move out, so I'm grateful for it. But it really is just like when you've heard something 4,000 times and over the course of a year, it stops being music. It starts just being like I don't even know. Like you get what I mean.
Yeah. I actually speaking of glitter though, because that
Mm,
is just how much people know about you. But
yeah,
real glitter, like the actual like, object, is pretty
yeah.
small, but it makes anything it's on just like so much brighter. And I know a lot of your
Mhm.
music is about your personal struggles, but I'm sure there's
Yeah,
lots of little pieces of glitter in your life too. So,
yeah.
what are some small things that make you happy?
I like to go to the bakery in the morning because it's the only place that's open because they have to bake all the bread. And I'm Australian, so I know I don't sound like I'm Australian, but I am Australian. It's just because I have like picked up a lot of accents from people I've been talking to on the internet over the years, and voice training also. I don't know. I don't strain my voice. I don't go too high in the register, but when I do voice train and when I do like a singing voice properly, I've picked up a very like Americanized voice from that.
Isn't that
But
because
I
a
am
lot of the voice training
Australian.
like videos are from like the U.S. like the
Yeah.
Midwest and stuff?
I mean, it's not just that, it's also linguistically, like I'm okay, linguistics is another small thing that makes me happy. I mean, it's not small. It's a pretty big field of research, but it is a thing that makes me happy.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of linguistics, when you make your mouth smaller, that's how it sounds more feminine. That's just how voice training works. So, for instance, if I'm to bring my mouth like to the very front, this is more like you can tell the difference already when I bring my mouth. Like when I
Yeah.
make my mouth very small and then I bring it to the front. And if I was to do like a performative version, like I can't even help but like put my voice like up when I do that. Whereas if you bring your voice to the back, then it's more of like a, more of the, you know what I mean? So it's
Yeah.
kind of just like in terms of linguistics, it's the American West Coast accent, the Valley Girl accent, that whole thing, that is a direct result of the American accent becoming closer to the front of the mouth. So if you do that accent, you're gonna sound more feminine no matter what. That's why Silicon Valley guys like Sam Altman are always called gay by right-wing weirdos because they have that accent which brings your that's why California is gay. And I
Mm-hmm.
believe that entirely. It's hyperstition. It's the fact that they talk femininely, it makes them gay. It makes California a woke state. That's entirely why what I believe. I don't care. Uh, I don't care if I'm completely wrong. It's just I'm just be
No,
bullshitting.
I
I'm making
support your theory
connections
though.
that
That
are
makes
not. But
sense.
well, it's just I don't know. I feel like in terms of like linguistics and like names and stuff, like linguistics is a big thing for me. And I feel like when you understand linguistics and etymology, the connections that you make with things become a lot more like I don't know. Like for instance, like I saw this like you know, I'm gonna get political on the interview right now. Like I saw this tweet that was like, you know, society of bourgeoisie was easier to pronounce and spell than Jews, right? And you know, it's because anti-Semitism, these freaks, like these right-wing crazies, they have these kind of conspiracy theories because it's easier for their minds to spell out a four-letter word than it
Mm-hmm.
is to spell a long French one. It takes more mental capacity and effort to have the idea of the bourgeoisie in your head because it's hard to even spell it for English speakers. So it's kind of the whole like making connections with linguistics. That's a big thing for me. Astronomy is a big thing. See, again, like little things that make me happy. There are so many of them that I could talk about for so long, and I could talk and talk and talk about so many things that it's hard to come up with any in specific. But linguistics, astronomy, I really like astronomy. I like geopolitics. I'm pretty into politics in general. I like computer. I like hacking. Okay, here's like a heartstrings fact. So with that album, a lot of the like promotional. Okay, so some of the stuff on I'm definitely not supposed to say this, but some of the stuff on the trailer were just like random insecure webcams that I managed to hack into, and
Was it
like
with that website or
uh
was it something that you did?
oh, it wasn't with the website. My friend and I built a scanner, or I mean, my friend built the scanner. Zilla, shout out Zilla is the goat.
Oh no, I
But
know Zilla's done some. I can't say anything, but I know Zilla's done some like some other stuff.
Yeah, you know what? Do you know what I'm talking about? You know, I know what you're
Yeah,
talking
yeah,
about.
yeah, yeah.
Zilla, Zilla. That okay. I don't know how to explain it, but I have this like joke with my friend group, or really just with like Zilla and my other friend. But like, I feel like that guy has lived like 8 lifetimes in one. The stuff that they'll tell me about is fucking crazy. They'll be like, oh yeah, like I've been to like Tuvalu or something, and I'm like, why did you go to? When were you in Tuvalu? And they're like, I was there for 4 years, and it's like they'll be like, I met like the king of.
What?
I met the king of China from ancient history. That I don't know. Like
Uh,
Zilla has some crazy stories. Apparently, like their dad was like protesting for the civil rights movement. Like I don't know. Like Zilla has some insane stories to tell. But yeah, like I got into like cyber shit from them, and a lot of the like heartstrings promotional art, like the not the art, not like the actually the album art was kind of similar, but that's a whole other story. But the promotional artwork for the trailer, a lot of it was just like random. Like I got into these like random like webcams like in like Europe or like Asia or Africa, any country, any continent. I got into all all continents, and then I just took photos of whatever seemed beautiful to me. Also like computer systems, and then I would just like put a collage of them into that trailer. So that was like, I don't know, that was cool. But that's the thing that I like. I love computers. I love operating systems. I'm a bit of a nerd about that kind of thing. I'm really just like very close to your average artist that got on YouTube when I was very young and started watching Vsauce. I'm a Vsauce kid. That's really,
dude,
I'm just a Vsauce kid that
that's how
makes
I learned about
music.
swear words,
That's
which from Vsauce. I was in like third grade.
yeah, yeah. When I was, I think similar age, I just like started watching Vsauce videos, and then like at that point, that was when I became like a nerd. Like I just would not like stop watching Vsauce from that point because I don't know. I don't know. Like ever since then, I've just had this passion for watching all of these like obscure YouTube documentaries about random things. And if you go on like my YouTube homepage right now, like I could go like yeah, I'll go on it right now. Let's see what's gonna come up for me. 2025 World's Strongest Handheld Laser. Why China's largest volcano is so unusual. There might be hidden planets inside black holes. A brief history of English pronouns. Lobster diving boaters get surrounded by waterspouts. 315 people trapped inside a crazy plane. I don't know what a crazy plane is, but that sounds terrible. But like, that's really just the little things that make me happy. Is like all of these like just stuff. I like looking at things. I like exploring things on my computer, and really it all just comes back to that, I think.
Yeah. Actually, speaking of which, so one track of yours that always surprised me is Windows 7, which flipped the iconic
Yeah.
Windows startup sound, which is in this really beautiful house song. And
Yeah.
I'm a Mac user, so I hadn't heard that song in like a decade. But when I was in school, my computer lab, they all used Windows 7. So I used to hear that song like, all the time growing up. And
Okay.
your work is clearly just inspired by like being
Yeah.
online as a
So,
kid. So
mhm.
what are
Windows
some
7. Sorry, I'll get to the question as well as one second. Sorry.
okay.
Windows 7 is the best operating system of Windows. I mean, I don't know, Linux probably beats it out just in terms of versatility, but like Windows 7 is the best Windows by far. Don't let anyone ever tell you otherwise. Don't let the Windows propaganda, don't let them tell you that 11 is good. Don't let them tell you that 10 is good. Windows Vista, it was flawed, but it was beautiful. Windows 7 was just pure perfection, just amazing. Anyway, sorry, I'll let you get to the question.
Um well, I was wondering those. I guess just like what are some of your early memories of being online? 'Cause it seems like you do have a lot of like early childhood memories still.
Yeah, so I started playing Minecraft in 2009.
So like when it came out.
That yeah, my dad was tapped into that kind of thing back then. So he just put me on the computer and was like, "Yo, like this is Minecraft, you should play it." And I played it, and I got very into it very quickly. And then I cried because I fell in like a pool of water or something I couldn't get out, and then I figured out it was space to jump. And that was when I was like 3 years old. Yeah, early 2009, I would have been three, turning four. So that's pretty crazy. Another memory of mine, I used to go on this educational website called Starfall.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I was on that a lot when I was like two, three. And that to me is like peak, like sort of early 2000s, like children's internet, I
Mm-hmm.
guess. It was like very like it was just very genuine, very cute, very I think that children's entertainment these days is not genuine or cute anymore. It's Coco Melon, it's YouTube Kids dog shit slop. So it's very
Mm-hmm.
kind of it's nice to see things for children which are genuine and honest and sort of feel sincere and kind.
Yeah, like this like the snowman
But
game.
I think I know which one you're talking about. My favorite was the pumpkin game and the Valentine's game. I loved the Valentine's game. I would send like Valentine's cards of every kind to every character, and I would do that so many times. It's so like ironic, or not ironic, but I guess poetic to me that that was my favorite game on there as a kid as well, because now I'm out, you know, 2025. That would have literally been like 2006. I was one. I was turning one when I first was on Stuffle. I was on there before I could read, or that's how I learned to read. I learned to read when I was one, and I learned to walk later than I learned to read. So that's just the effect of the internet on you. But I think that like being like on there in 2006 and looking at like the Valentine's Day game, and now I'm like out in 2025. I'm making an album called Heartstrings where I keep spamming the Wounded Heart tag. That's something. Like there's something in that, I
Mm-hmm.
think. But yeah, Stoffel was a big one. I feel like I'm trying to think about other things that like I was into as a kid. I think like because it depends how far back you go. Like there are eras, there was the Scratch era,
Yeah,
and
I
then
was
there
on
was
Scratch too.
the
Yeah.
yeah, Scratch is a big one. If anyone finds my Scratch, I'm cooked. I don't think anyone will,
Were
but
you like
I'm
active like in the community on there?
I was, but I wasn't known by anyone because I was very weird. Okay, like I would take like people's like Warrior Cats meme animation memes.
Mm-hmm.
I was very into that. Animation memes, Warrior Cats,
Oh, like
and
do you remember
like
like what was like
yeah, I was like
Shimmer Kitty like 42?
something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly what that is, but I feel like
That was like the goat of
that
doing that on there.
I had a friend, okay. I don't know if they're out there, but my first ever true internet friend was Awesome Tiger 748 or something like that. Um, I don't remember what the name was, but I know it was Awesome Tiger. If Awesome Tiger, if you are out there, come back. Let's be friends. Let's talk. Let's catch up. It's been like 12 years. We need to catch up. My second friend on Scratch, which is crazy, is someone who turned out to also transition, but the other way. So it's crazy because I am now like a trans girl, and my second ever internet friend is now, at least as of last time I checked, I don't know, I don't know where they are on the internet now, but as of last time I checked, they were like a non-binary trans guy, which I think is really cool. But that's just like, I don't know, again, poetic. But yeah, I was definitely on Scratch and I would make a lot of stuff. I was very active. I would like make a new project every day. And it was just another weird jumble of like strange influences because I was into like math Scratch and I was like remixing projects by like 50-year-old Polish math teachers about like sine triggers and like I don't know, like math, like whatever.
Mm-hmm.
As sad as I am to talk about it because of my past with it, frankly, like it's just not. I wasted a lot of time and I also got harassed like into a lot of terrible things. But Geometry Dash, ignoring like my community history with it, honestly, that was one of my biggest things as like when I was younger because GD levels are pretty unique in that they're pretty much the only like good form of like playable music videos I feel that are out there. And I was very like GD was a very like big thing for me back in 2017. I got into it in 2016. 2.0 was like the best update, and I think that it probably still is like I don't know all of the things I still like from that game in that. What else? When I was like an early child though, like there's so much. Like I honestly consider the internet as my home country more than I do Australia. I don't care if that's like a corny thing to say. It's where I grew up. I grew up on the computer. I grew up like playing games on the internet, talking to strangers, and it's part of who I am. It really is. If I didn't have that, I wouldn't. I don't know what I would be. So
Yeah, I'm a similar way because like I started out on Scratch, like that was my main thing.
yeah,
It's like if I hadn't done
yeah,
that, like I don't know what I would be doing right now.
yeah. Right? Like it, like those types of things. They influence you so much to a point where they become unconscious. Like they become such a like a deeply set part of you that it's like hard to even think about like where you could be without it. Like if I hadn't been on Warrior Cat's Scratch in 2012, there would be no Gardenia, for instance. There would definitely be no Gardenia. That song is directly influenced by all the emo songs that I was hearing on like the Warrior Cats animation
Mm-hmm.
memes. Directly. There would be no Victim because that samples a song I heard in a Warrior Cats animation meme in 2014. There would be no any of it, really. I wouldn't be who I am without that, without, Warrior Cats community content in 2013, whenever. And that's just one part of it. Like it's hard to even think about where I'd be without any of it. I don't think I would be a recognizable human being to myself if I did not play Minecraft at such a young age. It's just how it is.
Yeah, I feel like stuff like that just instill being creative in kids like so early. Like I know for
Yeah,
me,
no.
like I won't be making music without Scratch. 'Cause I met a lot of my music friends today, like on there back in like 2015 and stuff. But also just like
Yeah.
instilled like make me want to make things, make me want to work on stuff for extended periods of time,
Yeah.
like a regular
Yeah.
thing that I would do.
And I really like that as well because, like the whole like, thing with, Scratch and music and all that, when it comes to like that stuff, right? I always knew that if I just kept at it and kept improving my craft and kept making things, eventually people would notice someday. But what I find interesting about it, I guess, from back then, is that when I go back and look at my like 2015, 2014, 13 Scratch projects, I think I'm pretty egotistical and self-obsessed. And I'm not gonna lie. I think that's not a bad quality to have for someone who's an artist because it makes me very grounded and it makes me think about what themes from my life that I want to put in my artwork. But it is a thing to be wary of in case I get narcissistic, which I don't want to get narcissistic. It's just, how it is. But I think with the artwork that I've been producing my whole life, there are a lot of instances and times where there's been no one to listen. Most of
Mm-hmm.
my old Scratch projects, they have one view, and that was me. And that I was making life updates, and I was making, like OC stuff for like my original characters back then. I was making all sorts of stuff back then on my old Scratch account. Uh, I was doing all of that without an audience. And I still kept at it. I still kept making things. I was doing that with music for a while. I have like an old project, old music thing where I was making EDM, just very sort of like exactly what you'd expect a 13-year-old Australian boy to make on a mobile. If you know about Oxy, it's like a
Oh
mobile.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I was on there in 2018, 2017, and it's funny because even then I was like very controversial. I was like a total shit star because I would like get into forum drama about like what people are allowed to post and like why like the community was dying and everything and like why they need to like make everything free for me. But like I remember people saying that like I was a wild card, but I had some bangers, which I like. I want to be like that now. That's the reputation I'm kind of trying to foster. But I was doing that for a while on Oxy with no listeners, zero monthly listeners, zero, all of that.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't know, no matter how many people I have listening to me, I'm always still just gonna put my heart into it, and I can't really not. If I didn't, I wouldn't be who I am. That's honestly just how it is. I think there is a part of me which really loves attention from people, and I love when people talk about my work to each other and theorize and make all sorts of like transcriptions on Genius about how like this represents my traumatized soul. I think that's fun, but while it is an aspect of me to want to help others with the things I make, I think it's very, I don't know, like I would do it if no one was listening. Basically, that's just how it is.
Well, I feel like that makes you like a quote unquote like real artist though, because that just shows you're doing it for like the love of the game and like nothing else.
Oh yeah, no, I'm doing it for the love of the game. I really am. I don't have any other, and I think part of the way to sort of authenticate and prove that is that I'm terrible with promotion. I don't have any kind of schedule. I'll just like I'll like drop at 3 a.m. on a Wednesday and just be like, "Yep." And I won't even promote it, and I'll just let people find it themselves because I feel like that's the beauty of it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Finding music yourself is more beautiful than, oh, I don't want to spam it everywhere. I only want to spam it if I'm trying to make money. And glitter, the thing with glitter is that it wasn't exactly like a betrayal of my artistic vision because I was just listening to a ton of Pink Pantherists back then, and that's what happens if you listen to a ton of Pink Pantherists, who is also like a huge influence of mine, by the way. But I think that it definitely was a moneymaker, and it was like, okay, I know that this is going to be a moneymaker. I'm authentic enough that I can afford to make a moneymaker or two because I need to pay the bills. I need to pay rent, even though you get what I mean.
Mm-hmm. But I feel because you already
I'm
have
just
that song, you're able to make other stuff now and not have to like
Oh
worry
yeah,
about it as
I'm very
much.
thankful. I'm very thankful for it. I honestly am. I don't, I wouldn't be at all where I am today without that. And I'm really thankful that I made the decision to aggressively promote it the way I did because it would have been a betrayal to myself if I didn't, I think.
Mm-hmm. I guess pick something that you promoted a bit recently. So I initially reached out to you in October 2024 to if you'd want to do an
Mm,
interview at some point. But unfortunately, my
yeah,
schedule at the time was busy, so we had to put that idea on pause. And in
yeah,
February, I saw that you were teasing a new album, so we agreed that we would touch base again once it was finally released. And now,
yeah.
in May this year, your long-awaited fourth album, Heartstrings, came out, which is easily my favorite thing that you've ever released. I feel like your vocals,
Thank you.
production, and song structure just overall, all like a huge step up from like everything you've done previously.
Yeah, I
And
would say so.
I know you just a lot going on with that album. So I guess like, what was the process of working on it like? That might be kind of a broad question, but
No, I can answer you very clearly. Okay, so first thing to understand about how I work. I am on stimulants, a lot of them, and it's to a point where I haven't even like taken my dose today because it's. I mean, I probably should like after interview whatever, but like I haven't even taken it today, and I still feel the effects of them
mm-hmm,
because I'm on such a strong dose that I have them in my bloodstream almost all the time. And often what I'll do when I have a really good idea is I'll get on the computer, I'll take like 30, 40, 50 milligrams of Vyvanse. I will work for 14 hours straight, and then I will have a song in front of me. For the next like month, I'll rinse and repeat that process until the song is finalized. That's how I made Heartstrings. Ottery, the third track, Ottery went through I think 10 or 11 different finalized versions before I finished it.
Mm-hmm.
I worked so hard to the point where it was people in my life were telling me like, Jesus fucking Christ, Lexi, take a break because you are destroying yourself. And I was like, nope, I have to finish this because if I don't, then I'm gonna feel like shit forever because it has to come out. I'm actually really glad that it came out on the release date it did, because May was the month of 2024 that I like. That's when I was working on the original tracks. That's when I first started working on Tragedy. That's when I first started working on Asher Cigarette, Matryoshka, and really, the EP that it was going to be on was originally going to be those three, like early versions of those three. And then it just spiraled out of control, and I was like, oh shit, I got an album. February when I first teased it was like I thought I was done because I had like the previous final versions of like a bunch of other tracks. Like I had like a third final version of Tragedy, I think. I had like the maybe like the second final version of Ottery. And then what happened is in February like I got a bit sidetracked because that's when I first met up with my girlfriend
Mm-hmm.
who actually I'm tomorrow I'm moving in with her, so
Well,
that's
that's exciting.
big stuff. Yeah, it's awesome. No, she's the light of my life, honestly. I love her so much. But I think that in terms of that like album, I thought it was done then because I thought that the story of it, the sort of heartstrings chapter was finished. I don't think the heartstrings chapter is finished until tomorrow because that's when I move out of this, house that I'm living in currently.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought it was finished then, and then I realized, okay, no, it's not. I need to work more on it. And also these songs are not as perfect to my vision as I want them to be. So I kept working on it for ages, and then I postponed stuff for a lot because some stuff happened in my life, and then I got like sidetracked on a bunch of stuff, and then I got obsessed with Deltarune again for 2 weeks, and then a lot happened, but I got it out. So you know,
Yeah, I
um,
know that you nightcore like all the tracks like after you're done with them, right?
not all of them, some of them. Ottery, I think Gardenia originally was a bit slower. Cruelty probably. Um, I don't know if it was all of them, but I will say all of them had nightcore vocals, so I would like record the vocals like lower down and then speed them up to
Mm-hmm.
give that sort of feeling to them. But yeah, like I did do that.
Yeah, I also thought it was cool that like, cause I know you pitch up or you like format shift your vocals a lot, but there's some tracks where you like
Yeah.
intentionally like didn't, which I thought was cool for
Oh,
this
yeah.
one.
Yeah. So Twilight is one where I didn't do that. And part of the reason I didn't do that is because I was singing about a certain thing, which if you listen to the lyrics of that part, then you'll understand why. I'm not going to go into specifics because it would take a long time to explain. But also, it was my voice gets a bit deeper when I haven't slept, and that's why my voice is a little bit deeper than usual right now. It would be a bit higher, but my voice is a little bit deeper right now. And that's because I have been awake for a while because I have to fix my sleep schedule. I say this every day, but I really do. Because I am moving out tomorrow. But that was a result of that. I mean, okay. The like in February, so I met up with Mia February 11th, I think. Maybe like 12th. I think it was 12th. No, somewhat one of those days. And then the day before that, I was like in my room frantically trying to finish the album for Valentine's Day. And then I realized, okay, well, I'm not gonna get it finished by Valentine's Day while I was with her. Like I was like, okay, well, I'm not. That's not happening. But I was really trying to get it done, and due to that, I had been awake for like 50 hours working on it, trying to get it finished. And that's why the vocals on it, I just could not be bothered to like nightcore them, and I think it sounds a lot better in that way. Like I don't know, it's hard to explain,
Mm-hmm.
but it is a conscious choice when I choose not to. It feels like a more sort of not more sincere because I think that format shifting out my vocals is honestly more sincere to who I am because it's nightcore,
Mm-hmm.
but it's more sort of organic, if that makes sense. Like it's heartstrings is a big thing about the juxtaposition between organic and digital, and I think that that's part of it. I'll say that.
Yeah, I thought it was more of like a gender identity kind of thing, but I don't know if I was like misinterpreting that.
No, it is in a way. Because if I'm doing that, I'm singing with my like, I guess biologically accurate voice. In that, like my voice, like I can voice train it high, but it's still gonna have the same like regular form and shift
Yeah.
because of just like the shape of my face. And by like biologically accurate, I don't really mean like male is accurate because I'm not a guy, but it's what I'd sound like if I was doing it live. Whereas I don't think anyone could sound like I do, like not like the cis, trans, whatever. No one could sound like I do when I put the effects on my vocals. That's just the point of it. But that a lot of the time I didn't use much auto-tune for it. I didn't use much like you know, post-processing when I was trying to do a more like organic sounding voice, like a live sounding voice. But yeah, it definitely ties into that because it's like I can't change a lot of things. So I'm kind of experimenting with them because I don't know. I feel like there will always be a male and female counterpart within my soul. That's kind of just how it is because I used to be a boy and now I'm a girl. That's just who I am. And that's I think that doesn't align with how a lot of other people see themselves, and that's fine. I mean, everyone's an individual, but that's how I see myself. Is that I was a boy at one point and now I'm a girl. And that's definitely part of it. But the main thing is like is like the main like juxtaposition in heartstrings specifically is like digital and organic, I'd say.
Yeah. I think another thing that's cool with you is like all the screaming on the album too. 'Cause, like, that's very new for you to
Oh,
be doing that.
um, I did a little on Dark Blossom, but yeah, it is pretty new. So actually the secret behind it is and this is like not. I mean, I feel like people can tell, and I don't really. It's not like I want to hide it. I don't want it to ruin the magic, but I don't think it's still screaming. Like I was still screaming. I was just.
Hmm.
I don't live alone right now, and in any living situation I've had, whether that be at my family home or at college or anything like that, I'm not gonna scream. Like I'm not gonna fry scream. I'm not gonna do like that scream, which I am capable of. It's just one is it very straining on me, but also I can't do that at home. I can't do
Hmm.
that in a bedroom. I can't do that at 1 a.m. when people are trying to sleep. So I have to be kind of careful with it. And what I would do is I would make all of the, and I think that my linguistic knowledge with like mouth shape and all of this kind of stuff, I would make the exact mouth movements of screaming while I was whispering. So it's hard to explain. But if I like talk like that, yeah, it's the emo like exaggeration mouth shape that you
Hmm.
do, like rah! It's the kind of that made my dog bark shit. If you scream like that's not that loud, but it's still the kind of it's still like a scream, if that makes sense. Whereas a
Yeah.
fry scream is gonna be louder, and it's gonna be more like it's gonna be difficult to keep that contained. So I think it adds to the bedroom feeling of like I was screaming in a bedroom in whatever way I could, because I'll be able to scream properly now that I'm not going to be in a bedroom anymore. Or I mean, I'll still be in a bedroom, but I won't be in like a bedroom surrounded with people that don't understand why I would be screaming all the time. So
Yeah. No, I have that issue too at college. Like I had to. There was one day where I tried like yelling on a song to try recording. I remember my roommate was like, "Dude, who is that?"
yeah,
So
yeah, no, it's real. It's just how it is. It's a technique, and I think it adds to it. It's a technique I learned how to do in 2023 when I was again like the back then it was like I didn't want people to come in my room and be like, "Dude, are you okay? Like what's going on?" So, I don't know.
yeah, another effect that I think is cool. You've done a few other songs also, but on Asher Cigarette, like the outro where it gets all like hazy like that.
Oh,
Like what
yeah,
effect is
that's one
that?
effect. That's Fruity Convolver. I love Fruity Convolver. I use it on every song. Every single song that I've ever made since like 2023, mid 2023. It's not a secret sauce. It's how Jane made that like blur sound for the like frailty pad thing.
Hmm.
Just Convolver. It's just Fruity Convolver. It's just blood. That sound is one of my like it makes everything sound like a pad. And I know a lot of people do stuff like that with like a granulizer, but I've never been able to get a granulizer to work. It always just sounds like I'm like skipping back and forth in like a YouTube video of a YouTube poop or something when I do that. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I know you've done it on City Lights, like another song also, where, like the outro of the song just
oh
kind of like
yeah.
becomes
I
like
think
a huge wall.
the reason for that is because that song and Ash Your Cigarette have pretty similar chords. They're both C minor, they're both like jazzy chords almost, I guess I would say. So that's why probably why I did that. It was more of a subconscious thing back then because I couldn't figure out how to finish the song off, so I just did that. But uh it sounds cool. I like doing that. It kind of feels like I'm like panning off into the distance in like a musical way, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it feels kind of like sinister also.
I can see that as well. I mean, maybe it's like shrinking or like, but that one specific, like Ash Your Cigarette, I did it for a very specific reason because it sounds like smoke. That's why.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like a cloud of smoke that's sort of taking over the song. And I think I don't know, that's cool.
Yeah. I feel like Frailty was also probably like a big info for the album, right?
Oh yeah, 100%. Especially I mean, there are some tracks, as you mentioned, with Cruelty. There's a couple tracks that have frailty samples on them. Well, there's a Your Clothes sample on Artery, I'm pretty sure at one point. Very chopped up, but like it is there. So
Yeah, but I'm glad that you're able to like kind of own your influences and like admit them because some people would be like, nah, man, this is all me. But I think it's good that you're able to be like, yeah,
no
this is what
way,
I'm
no
inspired
way.
by.
I'm no one in the world is not inspired by anything. Every piece of artwork is okay. This is like an edgy, like nerdy world building system, but I'm gonna explain the worldview I have of creating art real quick, okay?
Mm-hmm.
The first thing that you need to accept is that pain is a currency. It's kind of like the world's bad currency. It's a currency you don't want to have, but everyone in their life accrues some type of pain. Pain is something that can't be you can't get rid of it. It's always going to be in the world. There's always going to be more pain. The only way that pain goes away is if you die. The only way you can lose pain is by transforming it into art or inflicting it on others. That's the only two ways that there are to get rid of pain in yourself. So when you're making an artwork of any kind, really, what it is going to be is it's like making a potion. You're going to get a bunch of your influences. You're going to get your frailty. You're going to get your sisterhood. You're going to get your, machine gull. You're going to get your Yu Yupe, your strawberry hospital, your charms, all the skins, all my influences. You're going to chop up the bits of those that you find the most inspiring, put them all together, and then, you know, whether that pain is victory at the overcoming of that pain in a sort of triumphant and fun way, or you're just having a bit of fun to shrug off your pain, that pain is the ingredient which makes the art itself. Because if I had just put together the influences and made something disingenuous, it wouldn't be heartstrings. It'd just be some bland chat GPT slop. And I think that's part of the reason why people are so opposed to the idea of AI making artwork. Me personally, I think I have a more holistic view of it because I'm not anti-AI, and I know that's a very controversial position to have, but I think that if people are afraid of their entire identity being replaced by AI, then that's like a more personal thing that they need to look a bit inward into themselves because like why are you scared of that? Why do you think that you're making something that AI can do, right? Like I don't know. Because I feel like an AI could never be me. It could easily spit out like a recreation of what I do, but it couldn't be me. And I don't know why people are afraid of that because it's like what are you scared of? Well, right? But what my like I don't know. I feel like I could talk about that a lot, but I think the whole like there's a definite anti-AI craze where people are going on about how AI art is like the worst thing in the world and it kills every tree, which is not true by the way, but I don't use AI in my personal work. Like I don't use like AI generated
Mm-hmm.
songs in my music. And if I did do that, which I may like take like AI samples as like as I've considered doing that for like a political statement for like a future project. Um, but if I ever do that, it'd be like as an ironic, like political thing, but you know what I mean? Just like the kind of, I don't use it as like a personal, like heartfelt thing, right? I don't use
Yeah.
like generative AI to express my pain. But I think the reason that people are so scared of AI creating art is because it does exactly what I mentioned. It takes all of the influences, but it's not able to suffer in the same not in the same way that we do. Like there are AI models that are able to suffer. If you put them at a high enough temperature, they go into complete psychosis. And if you study AI and look into it enough, it's a bit scary the way that I mean, you can make them completely insane. You can literally like remove their brains as they're like generating shit, and it's fucking spooky because like you should not be able to torture a brain that much, no matter what kind of brain it is. But AI, the reason people are so scared of it is it can't channel its pain into artwork the same way that we can. And so that's what people don't like. They're disgusted by the idea of art that is all of the influences and all of the personal experiences of people that are all just channeled into a machine that doesn't have any feeling behind it. But ultimately, what I do, what Heartstrings is, what Dark Blossom is, what any of my albums, what any of my songs are, none of that is very different to an AI model just taking a bunch of influences and spitting them out. And I find myself to be, I honestly think as a person, I am closer to a high temperature AI model than I am to like an average person. I honestly just feel that way. I feel that I have more in common with an AI model than I do like the average like Joe on the street. Just because I spend so much time taking in influences and then spitting them out into new things. That's what ChatGPT does. But the difference between me and a robot is that I experience pain and I put that into my art as a sort of token, as a kind of magical ingredient, which changes it into something which I feel is authentic and genuine. And I think that pain is a currency. When your only options to bear the pain that you've suffered in your life are to inflict it on others or turn it into something good and transmute it into an artwork, I'm gonna choose artwork. That's just what I do. And if I have a choice between turning it into something bad and hurting other people and turning it into something good, unless those people are Nazis, I'll probably hurt them and I'll be proud of that. I'm a very vindictive person. I'm a sinner in the eyes of the Lord, whatever you want to say. But most of the time, I'm going to choose turning that into art, and that's just my view on it. I don't know. Sorry, I rambled for a long time, but that's
No, you're
just my view
good.
on it.
No, I think that's also just like again, I feel like that's kind of like Scratch coming back, where it's like it instilled making things at a young age, because other people would take those feelings, and then they don't have the outlet to do stuff with it, so they do other things
Yeah,
because of it.
yeah, exactly. I mean, the thing with Scratch is that the thing I love is Scratch is that you could remix people's projects just by like every project was open source by default, and I think that's an amazing thing which makes the Scratch community so cool that like everything there's no such thing as closed source. You can't like hide your source code from
Well,
people.
that was almost true, except they had those like broken blocks you kind of have to like hack to like get in.
Oh,
Do you
yeah, yeah,
remember
yeah.
this?
No,
Yeah.
I used to collect those in my like little backpack folder. That was cute. I used to do that. I had like a little collection of broken blocks, but no, I mean, unless people were being like assholes about it, then
Mm-hmm.
everything was open source. It was kind of just like, can you imagine what a beautiful art-filled world it would be if everything was open source and games were all open source and you could just like go into everything's code and mess around with it and like publish that and make money off it. Can you imagine how cool that would be? Because I think that would be a fucking amazing planet to live on. I don't know. Maybe that's just my mentality,
I
but it's
feel like
just
that's when
like
like there's
imagine,
no copyright law at that point. Like,
yeah, no, like imagine if you could make money off of like mods or something. Like imagine if you could make, and they couldn't stop you from doing that.
so
And
you're
if
saying
you
like
made
you
like an
wish everything was like
amazing,
public domain? Is what you're saying?
yeah, I really do. I think copyright law is dumb, and I think that people should. It only ends up hurting independent artists more than it protects them.
Mm-hmm.
People have this notion, especially people who are less kind of educated in how evil these corporations actually are. People have this notion that copyright protects artists at all, when all it really does is protect corporations, because ultimately, unless your work is like straight up just stolen, and that still happens, right? Like artist work is still stolen, especially by corporations. It's not like it's protecting anyone. That's just an illusion. It says it does protect you, but it doesn't. It just protects these corporations. It protects Disney and Nintendo and all these vampire fucking leeches that steal your artwork. That's honestly, I honestly think that the world would be a better place if one, if people were smarter about how they consume things, and two, if copyright was not a thing that was allowed to exist. Copyright is like the Israel of artwork. It is terrible.
That's a crazy
It's
statement.
just, bro. It is not. Copyright pisses me off, and I don't like it.
I feel like it has a place, but it's like how it's being enforced. Like I feel like sampling shouldn't be like such like a
Well,
like
I
legal
mean,
issue.
I think that, well, yeah, I mean, by saying copyright is bad, I mean that it should be changed and it should be something better than it should be something that protects little artists, independent artists. It should be something that does good for the world. But right now, it doesn't protect anyone. You can have your shit stolen and you're not gonna have the money to do anything about it. You're not gonna be able like you tell me right now, if Nintendo wants to steal my track, I'm not gonna have the money. I've got bills to pay. I got rent to pay. I got a house to live in. I got music to make. I got food to buy. I'm not gonna have the $200,000 it's gonna take per day to take Nintendo to court over with a copyright lawyer over stealing my shit. They're not gonna like they can just do that, and I kind of just have to deal with that. That's just kind of copyright serves corporations. It doesn't serve
Yeah.
artists, and no artist that is small has the resources to protect themselves from abuse of copyright, whereas corporations definitely do, and that's what purpose copyright serves. So when I say that copyright's bad and it should be abolished, I mean that copyright should be abolished, and then something else in its place that's better should take its place, like something which allows artists to transform others' work in creative ways and not be cheated out of their own work mattering. Because right now you're telling me like if I sample something like okay, a big example I think of this is like the Netspend thing, how Netspend got a bunch of his songs taken down by like labels. I found it so crazy because like think of it this way, right? If Netspend got all those songs taken down and all of the royalties from those like uncleared samples got sent to Universal Music Group or whatever, then who owns what Netspend made? Like who owns Netspend's vocals on those songs? Who owns the 808s on that song? Because I know damn well Deftones did not say She Just Won't Get High. Right? It's a logical inconsistency.
Also, I swear they cleared that song. Wasn't that the whole thing that I got cleared? That's why they could release it in the first place?
No, I don't think it is. I think that there's a tweet flying around that was very clearly faked that was from Chino Marino saying I cleared I cleared a sample for this Netspend kid, and then he started flying around like a retard or something like that, and then like that was like the that was a tweet that was not real. No, I don't think it ever got cleared. I think that Netspend just did the like boss ass move of just posting it anyway, which I think more people should do.
I feel like it does work. Like for example, like have you heard like Punko's Drill by Polo Perks?
It sounds familiar.
It's like he samples like Mr. Brightside and like Snow Patrol, like all these other like big artists, and he's fine. So I don't know.
If you're okay, a hack that you should know, anyone listening to this, anyone that would hear this, should know is that if you are small enough and if you're not gonna attract enough attention from making money off it, you can do whatever the fuck you want. They're not gonna stop you. They're not gonna bother. They don't care unless if you transform enough, they don't give a fuck. And another thing, they don't want you to know this either. It's really funny, but you can just upload songs to anyone's Spotify.
I've done that before too. I helped someone with their album, and he was too old to know how to use DistroKid, so I just did it for him on my own account.
Yeah, I have big plans to make political statements regarding that. Let's just say, okay. I have plans that I cannot share with you because the haters will sabotage me.
Well, once that happens, I'll know what's up.
Oh yeah, you'll know. Trust me, you'll know. Look, when it comes to like how it is as an artist to navigate a system which is made to it, the system is not made to benefit normal people, to benefit artists. It's made to benefit ditties. It's made to benefit social climbers that steal people's work and then make money off it. It's made to benefit label recs. It's it's all of that stuff. Like it's made to represent suits and corpos because that's who benefits from it. That's who made it. They made it for themselves. It's a selfish system they made to benefit themselves. And you know, it is what it is. But when it comes to copyright, I'm very honest about my influences. I'm very honest about my samples because like you can come and fight me for it. I'm gonna fucking fight for my right to steal shit and to sample shit. I'm gonna do that. I don't care.
Yeah, but
If
also,
they
I
want to
feel like
fight
the
me,
artists you sample are all like pro sampling anyway, so it wouldn't matter.
well, I don't. Yeah, I don't really listen to that many artists that wouldn't be cool with it. But like, yeah, most of the time. Okay, another thing is like a lot of my work, whenever I do sample, falls under the transformative use thing, where they can't fault me for doing that. Like there's been a whole legal precedent where like I'm not like they can't take that down if I've used like and pitched and put 50 different effects on something. So it's small enough of a sample that if they were to try to take me to court over that, it wouldn't work, if that makes sense. And
Yeah,
they'd be wasting their time. It's like a lot of it is like, when you take someone to court, it's like, is this worth the time or money that it would take to sue this person? And I think when it comes to my music, it's like if they really wanted to do that, they would have to go to the legal battle of, is this really this or that? It's just how it is.
yeah. I guess if I had to say one last thing about heartstrings, I just want to say shout out to Zilla for doing the visualizer because I thought that was really
Oh
sick.
yeah. Okay. I know. Yeah, I'm gonna make a proper shout out for that because Zilla is the goat. Zilla helped me so much with heartstrings in so many ways that they didn't like produce any of it, but Zilla mixed so much shit for me and told me like, okay, this sounds good. This sounds, you need to fix this. You need to do that. And I became like 50 times better at mixing just because of Zilla. Honestly, if you need someone to mix your songs, if you are an artist that is like looking for mixing help, then that's the person for you. Zilla is a actual legend, like a genius, bro. Like I definitely the album would not be what it is today without Zilla's help. So yeah, shout out.
Yeah, but I liked how I like the iPod. I felt that felt. Oh my god, I like the
Oh
iPod. I thought
yeah,
that fit the aesthetic a
I
lot.
I made the iPod on like a headphones background on like the that visualize or not like the visualizer, but it was a collaborative effort. But Zilla made like this iPod like menu screen thing for it, and I was like, holy shit, that looks so good. Let's like work on that. And then Zilla just like came through because I really like putting out visualizers for my stuff, but like a lot of the time I don't have like I just did not have the energy to like come up with like what I was gonna do for it. And then Zilla came through on a lot of it. Zilla came up with the iPod like menu screen thing, and it was just so like so sleek, so sick, fit what I was going for perfectly. So yeah, shout out again.
Yeah, and I liked how all the lighting changed, like to fit whatever the song was doing. Also,
Yeah, that was their thing as well. They told me that, or I told them that it reminded me kind of like the like Ghana Maker, like the fast menu on Deltarune, and then they said that like that inspired them as well, so we were kind of on the same wavelength with that.
yeah. Moving on. So, as we've been talking about, heartstrings is a very powerful and emotional project throughout. As an artist, I'm
Yeah.
sure that there's a lot of music and media out there that's really connected with you over the years. So, what are some pieces of media that have made you emotional, whether happy or sad, that tugged at your heartstrings?
Oh, that was smooth. Okay, Deltarune, first one. I just mentioned it. It's on my mind now. Toby Fox is a genius. Deltarune is probably the best story in any game that I have ever played, in my opinion. Just based on like when you play Deltarune, every other story-based game just feels like you're playing like I don't know, it feels like you're trying to engage with the story of like a porn movie. It just does not. It feels hollow compared to Deltarune. The characters in that have so much depth, and it brings me. I mean, Undertale obviously by extension. I'm just talking about those two games specifically, but Deltarune lately has definitely brought me like a new kind of, because it's about escapism, and to an extent I feel like heartstrings is kind of, it's an exploration of how escapism is actually like real life in my case, because I mean I am technically, until what is it, until like Tuesday when a plane lands, I am in an online relationship. And that
Mm-hmm.
can be seen by a lot of people as a form of escapism from reality. A lot of people think it's not real, you know? But it's real to me. And I don't just mean that in like a, oh, you know, like it's real to me sense. Like I mean that as in it is real. Like that is it is real. Like it's not arguable whether it's a real thing. But a lot of people would see that as escapism. And so I guess like it's a kind of exploration of how like other people go into like the real world, and then like as their daily life, that's just like they go out and their job is like to go to a location and then do a set task. My job is on the computer, and sometimes real life can be an escape from the internet in some cases. It you know, it really is kind of just a, it's exploring like the inversion of reality kind of, and how like what happens when you escape the escapism. And that's exactly what Deltarune kind of is. Like what if you get darker than dark? That's the
Mm-hmm.
whole Deltarune thing. And I mean, I'm a bit of a Deltarune like theory nerd, so that's the whole thing that's going to be coming up in the future of the game probably. I mean, that's the whole like thing that was teased recently. And I like that idea of like fiction within fiction, and sort of building up a kind of narrative for something within something else, because it really, I mean, it just really speaks to me in a way that I really like. And it's just obviously a very well written story. But yeah, Deltarune and Undertale are big. I think funnily enough, I'd say I sample this more than any other like piece of media, I'd say, is Danganronpa. It's a guilty pleasure of mine, because the truth about Danganronpa is that it's such a mixed bag, because it has one of the best premises of any story I've ever engaged with. Like you need to kill someone to leave this place. That is a crazy premise, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's an insane premise. And yet I won't spoil it, but the endings leave a lot to be desired. The endings are very choppy and feel rushed a lot of the time, and Danganronpa, it's got some weird stuff in it. I mean, it's a late two, or not late 2000s, early 2010s is really when it was like, it's an early 2010s anime. I mean, pretty much all anime has at least one questionable thing in it, I feel, which is you just have to roll with it sometimes. Life has questionable things in it, so does anime. Who cares? I don't know. I'm pretty against the whole, because I feel like you've got to be responsible with what you're promoting and what you're engaging with. But I feel like when you're trying to like cancel everything for being problematic and saying, "Oh, that's problematic," you know, you can't like that. It's like listen, I understand, and I don't think that it's good that that's in this thing, but it's like, are you gonna cancel like going to your job because there's an asshole there? Like everything in life has shitty things in
No,
it.
I had the issue recently
Sometimes,
because you saw that with Jane where they got mad at her that someone that she didn't know worked on like her music video.
yeah, I did see that,
That
and I
was so
thought it was.
stupid.
I think that the people that were making a big deal of that were drawing attention away from the fact that there was a really bad thing that happened. The people that were trying to focus on Jane were social climbers that were trying to get themselves attention from someone's situation that they weren't even involved with.
Mm-hmm.
And there are people that say some weird things about her. I mean, I don't know her entire life story, and I don't think I should, because I think if I did, then I'd be a weird obsessive fan, and I don't think that that's like a normal thing to be. I think that it's okay to look into the artists that you respect or support or take inspiration from, but when you're at the level where you're like, I don't know, digging into her personal life or shit she doesn't want to share, then that's so fucking weird. And I'm saying that in terms of like people, because like I don't know if it's accurate, but I've heard someone bring up that she's not white, like she's Middle Eastern in descent, and like people are accusing her of like saying bad things about white people while being white, which is like first of all, like you should do that. That's the thing that you should do, because a lot of white people are really fucking fucked up. But you know, in terms of her saying stuff, like I don't know, I feel like people just are very I could go into detail about how I feel like people are very quick to label trans women as problematic and very quick to label trans women as morally compromised based on things that they would definitely not do to any other artists. I feel like that's definitely a thing, and it's like a hyper focus thing. People are very quick to label trans women as sexually perverse just based on very minor or small connections they have to things or people. People are very willing to write off trans women completely as bad just based on, and I think there are cases where you have to, really hold people fucking accountable for what they're doing. But in Jane's case, it was like, what's the deal? Like, why are you making a big deal out of this when she did not know that this was happening, nor did she know that this person was even involved? Like, to me, it felt like a huge kind of a festival of this trans woman's gotten too big and we need to do something about it. From a lot of people who get uncomfortable when they see trans women get big. And I hate to make things about that because I don't want to be the type that's just like, oh, you're only accusing people of this because they're trans, right? But when it gets to a certain level, it's like if you accuse people of stuff just by like, I mean, because I looked into this. The reason people were focusing on Jane about this is because like someone was at her show or someone was in the music video that she did not like have the responsibility of like
Yeah, it was Backlight's like
directing,
quote unquote fault, but no one was even like
Yeah.
talking about him during it. It was just Jane.
Yeah. There's a reason that they weren't talking about him. I'll just say that. It's just because Jane is a T-girl and it's easy to focus on us. I know that that's going to happen to me eventually because I'm weird. I'm fucked up. I'm not normal. I'm not a rapist. Like, I'm not a bad person in that regard. I'm not a sex pest. But like, I'm not normal. I'm weird. I say insane things on purpose because I like breaking boundaries and pushing things. I'm crazy. I'm ill in a lot of ways. They're gonna come for me eventually, and I'm gonna laugh them off because honestly, when it comes to
I mean, you've already
when it
had to
comes
do
to
that
this,
before with the Geometry Dash stuff, right? I don't know if you want to get into that at all, but
yeah. Oh, I'll get into it. I think people in Geometry Dash are in a cult, and they show like 7 out of 10 of the signs of being in a cult, and they believe that the moderation team are good people no matter what they do, and they are cognitively dissonant from reality in a way which is very strange and I've never seen from any other game community. But GD players believe that Viperin is immune to any kind of criticism because apparently it was legal for him to be 22 and dating a 16-year-old that also was previously groomed by one of his ex-friends. And apparently I was in the wrong for talking about this, despite the fact that, like, 6 other people were in a group chat with me authoring a document. They didn't catch any shit for it. I was the only one. And they all stayed silent about it, which, I have my misgivings about, but it's whatever. It's, the only person who didn't stay silent about it was someone who is very controversial in the community. And lo and behold, it's because they have unconventional or weird takes on morality and stuff like that. Like, I don't want to get into it, but if you know about it, then you know. It's just that it's easy to write off the tranny as insane when she's saying things that you don't like. That's my take on the whole GD community. And I think that in terms of how I've been treated in music and in Geometry Dash, there's not even a comparison. In GD, I was treated like in GD. Here's what it is in the GD community, and I think this is a problem in a lot of art communities, but specifically gaming communities. Criticism is treated as better, and I think this is like how Rate Your Music operates. If you like know much about that website, like RIM operates the same way that GD does, in that the critic is more important than the artist. The player is more important than the creator. If you are the artist, then your goal should be to bow down to whatever feedback that random idiots have to say about your work, no matter what it is, to you. That's irrelevant. The critic is the most important, and I don't fuck with that, but that's just how it is in GD community, and that's part of the reason why I decided that after that whole, apart from the fact that I had like thousands of people emailing me rape threats. Okay, well, not emailing me. There were some people emailing me. There were others in my YouTube comments. There were others in my Twitter DMs. They were really everywhere, but you get what I mean.
Yeah.
apart from, all of that stuff, like the absolute insane harassment about like that stuff, like honestly, like part of the reason is because music. Another thing is like I feel like in like music, especially like hip hop stuff, like people are held accountable a lot easier in terms of like racism. Whereas in the GD community, anyone who's like racist, like all of the top players of that, here's like an insider secret of the GD stuff. All of the top players are getting in calls they're like pasty white boys. They're all getting in calls every day and saying the N-word like 20 times per call. And they don't plan on stopping anytime soon. They don't see anything wrong with it. And if you try to say anything about it, you're considered too sensitive. That's what's going on in the GD community. And anyone who tries to deny that is not aligned with reality because this is what the top players are doing. And this is what they were doing when I was around, and this is what they're still doing to this day. They're edgy 15-year-old white boys. They're gonna do that. But it's pretty abhorrent, to be honest, how they're not held accountable for that. But yeah, that's what the GD community is about. There are a lot of people I don't hold resentment towards. I mean, I have some dear friends who I consider close to me that still play the game sometimes, but I really think that the community of that game is very far gone to a point where people are morally compromised and support terrible people no matter what. And that's when it's important to hold people accountable. When people are getting away with shit just because they have power in a community. I don't think that the Jane thing was an example of that. I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah, there was that, and people getting mad at Kamo because like 845 was opening for him because she used to date Black Winter Wells, not even like currently, like but
Yeah.
she used to, and that
No,
was a problem somehow. I don't know.
no, I find that extremely troubling. Because holding someone, okay, maybe I should look into it more. I avoid Black Winter Wells just because of this. Like, it's not like I have any connections with them. In terms of the underground, something to note is that I'm basically a nobody. Nobody knows me except like LEXYCAT fans, people that know about me. In terms of like the big guys in the community, in the underground community,
Mm-hmm.
you know, people don't really know me. But like I try to avoid stuff around Black Winter Wells just because so many people I know say that they're a shithead, like
Yeah.
of all kinds. Like people I know who are not even connected to the underground say that. So like I'm gonna take my friend's word for it. But in terms of Black Winter Wells, like I think it's so fucking dangerous to hold someone accountable for the actions of their ex-partner. I mean, that's just like so disgusting to me that people would say like because if they are really like as abusive as those allegations are saying, it's like how are you going to hold someone who was in a relationship with them? And obviously, I'm not going to speculate, but like possibly abused, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like how are you going to hold someone in that status accountable for something that their ex-partner did? It's disgusting to me that people tried to do that. I think that I don't know, deadAir Records probably has a lot of label management shit. So call him out for that. Call him out for the merch shit and the label management shit and the not promoting their black artists as much as their white ones because I have seen people say that and it does come off that way sometimes from them. I'm not gonna
Actually, because
lie.
I realized I never see like any stuff for Days God like ever.
I
So
never, never, I never, yeah, I haven't seen shit about Days God on there in a long time, and maybe it just doesn't get as much like traction on there because Days God isn't as like forefront to them as Jane is, but it's just like I don't know. I feel like there's a certain point where but like Lucy Bedrock is like getting on there now, and I could not be happier about like seeing Jane and Lucy Bedrock in the same like room to me. I don't know the history, so I never knew if they were like friends or like linked up or anything before like Dead Air Connection or the tour or anything like that. But seeing them on the same like list of people that know each other and play music together is like that was like seeing like I don't know like bacon and eggs on the same list because I don't even eat eggs. So I don't know why I'm saying that, but it's just like those two were such big positive influences in my musical, I mean, they still are. So it's just crazy to see. But sorry, I'm nerding out. I'm going on. But yeah, I think that if you're going to criticize Dead Air, criticize them for the shit that the people actually criticize them about. Don't criticize them about the shit that like random people are saying on Twitter because like someone that like Kamo worked with is like was dating someone who is now considered like I don't know.
It's
I
just
just
so
think it's
far
I think
removed
it's,
from what the actual people, but they're making it seem like those people are the problem. I don't know. That's
yeah.
my was my issue with it.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's very reductive. It's reductive of not only people's personhood, but it's also like guilt by association in a way which is I think it's just anti-nuance.
Yeah, I think it's
I
also a
don't
lot of it is
hmm,
just like wanting to have drama because some people are posting about like fuck dead air and then not explaining like what the problem was that nobody knew what was happening.
yeah. I mean, I think a lot of people honestly were just annoyed about not getting merch, which I would be annoyed too. I'm gonna be honest, but
Hmm. Yeah.
I don't know. I've tried until now. Like I have a manager now, and I feel more confident with it, so I'm gonna do more of that like later this year. But until now, I haven't done any kind of merch or anything like that because, bro, like when you're fucking with people's money, like that's when you can't afford to be inconsistent
Yeah.
and sort of like flaky with shit. Like I'm extremely inconsistent and flaky. I am so like I'm terrible as an artist at everything that isn't making the music. Really, I am awful at it. I'm bad at consistency, I'm bad at stylistic consistency, I'm bad at keeping a certain like aesthetic, I'm bad at promoting, I'm bad at management, all of that stuff. But like when it comes to people's money, I just you cannot afford. So like I'm sorry to people that ask me to tour and make a match and stuff, but like I can't. Like it's like I'm in Australia first of all, so it's kind of hard to tour when most of my fan base is in the United States. And second of all, it's like I can't afford not to like I can't afford to not be like 100% perfect if it's with money that people are spending on me.
Hmm.
Not only because I feel like that's like a fucked up moral thing for me to do and I don't want to scam my fans because that's like horrible, but it's also like I don't want to like that's not a reputation you necessarily want to have as an artist. I'd rather be the artist that has like coveted merch drops occasionally rather than the artist that like fucks with people's money and makes promises that I can't keep.
Yeah. No, definitely. Okay, but moving on, so you were talking about Lucy Bedrock earlier, and I actually have a segment oh my god, I have a segment in each interview where I play rock, paper, scissors with the guest that I have on. So I was wondering if you want
Okay.
to play rock, paper, scissors, best 2 out of 3.
Sure.
Yeah, because I lost to Melancholia Blue in the last one I did, so I gotta reclaim my honor. And the way we can do this,
Sure.
you can either put like an emoji in the chat because you don't have a webcam, or you can hold up like an item that you
All
want to
right.
associate with like rock, paper, and scissors, maybe.
All right.
If you want to
All
keep
right.
it in Minecraft.
No, I've got an emoji in the chat.
Okay. So you have it
You
ready?
ready?
Okay.
Yep.
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. So is that scissors?
It's swords. So
So
it's like scissors, but it can cut up rocks as well because they're big.
that's okay, well, you got me either way. So you're up 1.
All right. Are we doing best of three?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I got my move up. You ready?
Okay. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Is that rook for rock? Is that what that is?
No, it's a knight.
What does that mean though?
Well, it moves in an L shape because it's a knight.
Yeah. But in terms of rock, paper, scissors, like, does it mean you took the L on that move? Is that what that means?
Well, it means the knight moves in an L shape.
It does. But I
So
think I'm cutting off its path of exit though.
that's a good point. I'll take the L on that one.
Okay, okay. So we're tied. Tie game. Tie game.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Rock,
Okay.
paper, scissors, shoot.
Bees.
Bees.
Yeah.
Well, because you know how on beekeepers they have like the stuff they put over it to keep them in there.
Yeah, but the bees are like wasps and wasps turn paper into their nest. So actually I win every game because the knight also combines with the bees and turns into a night bee and the it brandishes its two swords. So I
Hmm.
don't know. I don't
I don't
know.
know.
I
I've never had a tie before. We gotta figure this out.
All right, tiebreaker.
Tiebreaker.
I'll play. I won't play any like DLC moves this time.
Okay.
You ready?
Okay. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Tied.
Shit.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, you ready?
Yep.
Okay. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Oh, all right. Well, you outsmarted me. You just outsmarted me with that one.
Scissors beats paper.
We're pulling out moves I didn't even know you had.
Always go with the scissors because they cut out the paper.
They do cut out the paper.
If there's a rock, you can just like move out the way.
Like a thwomp. Someone do
Well,
that.
yeah, because if you the scissors like they're small and agile, whereas the paper is an all-covering sheet and the rock is a bludgeoning tool.
Well, because paper would have to move around like this. Like rock can just go. Psh, psh. Paper can't really do that.
Yeah.
Bit of a design flaw.
You can turn it into a
Oh yeah, you
paper
can do that. Well, then it's more mobile. But can paper fold itself though?
Maybe if it's alive.
I don't think this paper's alive. I got cut up and died. So unfortunate.
You never know.
Yeah.
There are secrets in all things.
Well, I like to keep my eye on the open, but I think you got some moves up your sleeve, so I'll leave you be.
I've got a lot of things on my sleeve. It's a pretty famous thing about me.
Okay. Moving on though. So
yeah,
one of the other favorite projects of yours is your mixtape Crystal Forest, and I've always been really drawn to its cover art for some reason. I just like how it's like, I don't know how you made it, but it looks like a hand drawn version of like a 3D rendering.
I didn't make it. I found it.
Okay, well, I don't know how the person made it.
You don't know where? Okay, I don't know who made it either, and I don't think I ever will, because there is a story behind that one and the Flowerfield one, which was created. This is gonna sound crazy, and no one. This is some lore that no one knows, by the way. So, the Flowerfield and Crystal Forest arts, actually, I had on my computer since like 2021, like late 2021 or like 2022 maybe, and those cover arts were made before the album. The albums were made entirely to be the album that I thought those covers sounded like. So I didn't make the covers to fit the albums. The albums were made to fit the covers because I had them on my computer for ages and I have more like them, which okay. So do you remember in like 2021, like late 2021, where there was these like very shitty AI Discord bots?
Oh, like what's like Natsubot and stuff, like that kind of stuff?
Yeah, like even before that, there was like these really bad like Discord bots that made like very like the Will Smith eating spaghetti and secret horses era of it. That was like made by like a deleted user in a Discord channel or something like that like requested that. And I found that in some channel, I think in maybe one of my old servers or something like that. I don't really remember too well. But it was like a weird thing because I found like a bunch of them and they looked like strange. And like I feel like it's an example of like, can a computer make art? And I feel like if it's like in weird circumstances like that, like I still don't know what the prompt for that was. I still don't know how it was made because the server that it was done for is gone. And this was in like very like late 2021, early 2022, when there was no ChatGPT, there was no OpenAI, there was none of that. It was all just like Discord users messing around with like bad like image makers in a Discord channel. I like upscaled them, not even with AI, I just like upscaled them with like paint.net or something because I do all my visual stuff in paint.net. And like I made the albums to suit those covers because I thought these feel like entire worlds which I want to explore in a musical way. And then I did. And then that's I don't know, I think that was like a very much a product of 2023 for me because my whole thing I don't know, I think I said this in the like Chinese interview I did. But every album that I have it gives a basic statement on me. So Dark Blossom's statement is I'm trans on the internet. Heartstrings' statement is I'm lesbian on the internet. And I think that Flowerfields ultimately is that like the internet is a place or it's like I live there. Like it's a place that I live, and it manifests itself in weird ways. And the computer is kind of like a place because immediately when I first saw those pictures hiding in that buried in that Discord channel, I was like, these look like an abandoned like world. Like these look like if you had like a 3D world that is gone and that no one lives there anymore. And I kind of tried to make a an album that felt like, or not album, but like several like albums, kind of like Yume Nikki, like that kind of liminal sort of digital space when nobody is around anymore.
Mm-hmm.
That like no players left, like that feeling. I tried to make stuff that captured the feeling I got from those, but I still don't think I got it perfectly. I think I did decently well, but like I don't know. That's the story of those. No one knows those. No one knows the story of that. I think maybe the only person who might know that is my friend who like I told about it in like 2023 when I first found him. But like, and the server that they were in is gone, by the way. Like there's no way of finding the original sources for that anymore. So I could have details wrong because a lot of stuff like 2021, like a lot of stuff I remember poorly, or 2022, like I don't remember it too well. But it was like it was a weird set of circumstances, and I still think that like this is why I think that like this is why I have such a weird stance on like the AI like thing, because I don't think that I don't call them cover arts in a specific like traditional way. They're more like screenshots almost of the album, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like if you're playing a game and you get a screenshot of it, then it's sort of like a snapshot of the world that that game exists in. And I wanted to give the idea that they were games. They were like games that exist in an alternate universe. And I feel like I don't know, in some spiritual way, that's what the robot that made them originally got. Is it got a screenshot of digital worlds that just never existed and that never will. And the best I could do is capture them. But they were sitting on those images were sitting on my computer for like a year, 2 years maybe. And I was like, I just kept coming back to them because they had something so haunting about how they just felt like a game from a reality that just is not like alive, I guess. Sorry, I know I'm talking about a lot about them, but I've wanted to like reveal this story for ages. I'm
Mm-hmm.
honestly nervous too because I feel like I don't want to be like one of those like you're unethical, like you're a bad artist for
No, I
using
feel like
like
that's
because
kind
I've
of
seen a
beautiful
lot.
though, because like you use it in a creative way though.
Mm.
You weren't just like lazy with it.
Well, I don't know. I feel like I mean I just feel like
Like
people
you
get
made an album
very
around the cover art, so like I feel like that makes
yeah.
it cool.
It's well, I feel like a lot of people get very hostile when you mention like AI generated imagery, and I think it's fair enough because it's being shoved into every facet of your life. You know, it's being promoted in things which should not have AI generated like influence in them. But I
Mm-hmm.
honestly think there are some people who really just need to grow up and realize that I think that people are ungrateful for the fact that we now know how to give a computer LSD and have it hallucinate, and they don't think that that's a beautiful, amazing thing. Your computer can now paint you a picture. Can you think about how fucking crazy people in like 1995 would have thought that is? That is ridiculous. That the computer can draw things now. They're not good things most of the time. In fact, a lot of the time they're really terrible and poorly made and a waste of digital space. But the fact that that's possible, I mean, wow, right? And I think that you know, that was the feeling I had because this was way before AI slop started being shoved into everyone's life. This was an era where I was like experimenting with like Chat GPT like 2, like the before Chat GPT even was a thing, like AI Playground. I used to get on that and like experiment
And like
with
Dolly
like
Mini
giving
and
it
stuff.
psychosis. Yeah, not no, this was before Dolly Mini. This was way before Dolly Mini.
Mm-hmm.
Dolly Mini was like no, this stuff was like before Dolly Mini. It was crazy. I don't even remember exactly how it was like. Also, another thing I'll bring up, like, I think it's crazy how Dolly Mini is like considered a much worse model because the stuff from Dolly Mini is so much more interesting than whatever you can get like new AI images to make, right?
So I feel like the new ones are so
Like,
sterile.
no, yeah, the new ones are so boring, but the old ones, they have soul in them. They're so interesting. They have some kind of like that they have some kind of magical like that feels like the computer is really painting you a picture, whereas the new ones feel like, I don't know, they just feel so boring and sterile. I think that's a really good like they feel like that's a very good like way of describing them. They feel so lacking in any kind of artistic value that it's just like I can see why people hate it, but like if you were on the AI train in like 2020, I think the reason I see it differently is because like okay, when I was younger, I was very into BFDI.
Oh,
Like when
me
I was
too. Yeah.
like I was like around BFDI when it was like season one. Like I was watching. It's why it's so surreal for me to see it like blow up now, and there's such a huge community around it now compared to because like I was like voting on BFDI episodes when they got like 200 votes each. But if you know like BFDI, you know like the Carrie Huang. Carrie Huang did a lot of AI experiments in like
It's like 2017.
2017.
Yeah, I
And
watched this. Yeah.
yeah. That's why I'm so into it now because like I like to make the computer hallucinate. I like to give the computer mental illnesses and then see what it does. It's fun. And I think it's a tool that should be used responsibly by artists for artists, not in the corporate way that it is now. And that's why I'm so sad about the new AI art being so sterile and soulless and lackluster in any kind of like, you know, it just doesn't have anything to it. It's so dull. It's just I feel like there's still something there, but it's being purposefully muted by the companies behind these like models. I think
Yeah.
that
Also, with Carrie,
anything
I feel like he was doing it to see if like if he could in the first place. Like that was all there was to it. Was just
yeah.
can I do this? That was it.
That's kind of my idea whenever I'm like looking into like because I don't know like the fact that you can make an like a computer of any kind draw you a picture is crazy to me. Like the fact that you can do that in today's society is very it's weird how like the second a technological advancement happens, people just acted like it was always a thing. But it's no, that's crazy. In 2021, you could not get a robot to draw you a picture, let alone write you an essay. Like what is up with that? Like how come people are so like I don't know, because I understand why people think it's soulless, and I agree with a lot of that criticism. But like you have to understand how insane it is that it's possible in the first place. It's not a regular thing. It's pretty crazy. It's pretty revolutionary stuff that we're dealing with. And it's okay to be interested in it. It's you shouldn't be ashamed for being interested and curious about these computers. And I think that a lot of people they've created this culture where like artists get like actually doxxed if people just assume that they're using AI, which is that's crazy, right? That's crazy. That's just so crazy to me. People should be allowed to experiment and to have fun and to try new tools. If people are getting doxxed for using Photoshop in 1995, like I don't know, you get what I mean? Like I just think
Yeah.
it's so lame. It's just so anti-intellectual. It's so lame when people get all up in arms about trying things because it doesn't even necessarily like have to mean that like I don't use it for my own like personal art. I sometimes I like use ideas that I've like seen an AI like come up with, you know, because I think when you give an AI psychosis, it comes up with interesting strings of text. But I don't use it in my personal creations. But it's like writing it off completely as not art is very like that's a slippery slope, right? Because the second you're able to in yourself write off anything as not art, that's not good. You shouldn't be able to do that because everything has the potential to be art, even if it's just really fucking terrible, right? So I don't know. That's just my take on it. But yeah, that's the story behind Flowerfield. Is there dimensions? There's screenshots of dimensions which just do not exist um in the real world, and I think that that's something interesting.
Yeah, I think it's funny that you went on that tangent there because it's actually directly related to what I was talking about with the question that I was gonna
Mm.
ask.
Yeah.
Because those covers always like really draw me in to like the album and listening to it. And when I was reading the Chinese interview that you did, I learned that you, like myself, are also neurodivergent. So I'm sure you get hyperfixated on stuff all the
Yeah, yeah.
time. So I was wondering, just like, what are some like, I guess, just some things that you've been really into like in the past that you're like super immersed in.
Hyperfixations. I can name some that I had as far back as when I was like 2 years old. honestly. My first ever was gears, like cogs, like wheels. And I kept that in my mind. I was like drawing like advanced like cog systems until I was about 5. Another one was bells and like church bells, like ringing them, temple bells, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And that was very big when I was a young kid. Another one is like, this is a more recent thing, tornadoes. I don't know, it's funny because I just seen like today like a snapshot of like an interview where Jane said she wanted to be a storm chaser, which is crazy because like a whole like I don't know, like a whole thing about one of the tracks, Joplin on Heartstrings, is inspired by the fact that there was like a terrible, horrible tornado tragedy that happened in a town called Joplin. I mean, there's also some personal stuff behind that name, but it's kind of interesting to me because like something about tornadoes, like all of the people that I know who like tornadoes are very a specific way about stuff. They have a certain like flavor of autism, which I can't really explain. But like knowing that Jane is like that as well is really funny to me because it's like you like I don't know, like one of the most autistic friends I have has like a signed copy of some tornado stuff of like a really famous like tornado team. I don't exactly remember what it is, but I think that tornadoes are like fascinating. I'm into them. I'm into like Rube Goldberg machines. Like I don't know if you've seen that like extremely famous like Winter Gatan marble machine on
Oh yeah,
YouTube.
yeah, yeah. I love that video. Yeah.
Stuff like that video was always like before that even was a thing because that video was like a 2015 thing, but like I was always into like Rube Goldberg machines as a concept as a kid. But yeah, like YouTube shaped a lot of my interests as a kid because like I would watch a lot of YouTube. Yeah, I watched a lot of YouTube when I was like a toddler, like I don't know. And it was a time on YouTube where it was the late 2000s instead of being like the early 2020s. If I was watching YouTube now, I'd be cooked. But since it was the late 2000s, people were genuinely just uploading what like meant something to them and what they're interested in. So I would just like click onto videos of like church bells and then get like stuck in a loop of like related videos of that, or like I would get like I don't know. That it was all like a bunch of stuff like that. So I was falling into YouTube rabbit holes even from a very young age. But I think of, like another fixation I had is like space. I'm very into space, astrophysics, astronomy, all that kind of thing. It's interesting to me. And I go into phases with these things. I think one of the silliest fixations I've had, which I'm still like happy about, to be honest, because it's cool. I remember it fondly. Is it's pretty obvious that I like Undertale a lot and Deltarune and that whole universe
Yeah.
of stuff. But one of the fixations I had when I was like very into it in like 2020 was like an alternate universe of Undertale called Swapfell.
I think I've heard of
Um
that. Yeah.
yeah, which is like a weird thing to be into, but I got really invested in it, which is strange because it's an obscure one, right? But that's just how it is. That's just what. Honestly, it was probably just because the papyrus guy's purple, and that's one of my favorite colors. But yeah, I've had a lot, and I'm always like going through like 2-day hyperfixations. Like I made like I started making a Minecraft mod recently. I can show it to you. Look, I can like I this one. Yeah, I started making like a Minecraft, or I don't have the resource pack loaded, but sorry, ignore all my old fucking resource packs. Where is it? Here we go. I made like I made like these cool like weapons in Minecraft and like crafting recipes for them, and I made like the textures for these. I don't know. It says goat hump. It's meant to be blood, but I don't know. I just have hyperfixations and then I make things. Like it changes often like on like a 2-day basis because I cannot like I don't know, like I can't like think of like I just like get tired of stuff easily or quickly, or I just like feel like I've explored something to a certain extent that I want to, and then I come back to it later. I'm like, oh whoa, there's like all this new stuff, and it's always fun to like come back to something and then see that like a bunch of new content. It's like a time machine because like I'll get interested in something and then I'll like stop looking at stuff about it for a while in like 2023, and then I'll come back to it this year and then be like, whoa, like it'll be as if like I've just like entered a time machine because the self that I was using back then that was into that kind of thing sort of comes back to me, if that makes sense. I sort of return to that self, and then that self is impressed by the new stuff. It's hard to explain, but
Yeah, no, I had that with Steven Universe. I don't know if you were ever into that, but
I I was very nearly because I was into Cartoon Network, but I don't think we get it here in Australia, or at least not to the same extent that I was into Cartoon Network when I was in Greece for a while, because my family has some Greek heritage, but I don't know, like I couldn't watch Steven Universe while I was in Australia for some reason, or maybe I could, it's just I wasn't on TV at the right times or something, I don't really know. But yeah.
yeah, I used to watch like so many like theory videos and like fan animations, and like I'd look at, like
Oh yeah.
OCs, and I'd like learn how to draw the characters. Like that was
Uh-huh.
like probably my biggest one growing
Me-
up was like Steven
Yeah.
Universe.
No, I know that I know that a lot of people, a lot of very creative people get into Steven Universe. I feel like it's definitely a thing that I would have gotten into if I was like a year or two older at the time that I was like first exposed to it, probably. But I didn't really, I don't know, didn't really resonate with me
Yeah,
as
I
much at
was
that time.
watching it in like 2016, 2017 when I like really got into it.
Hmm. Yeah, no, that's was that when it was like first airing?
I think we were on like season like 2 or 3, like at this point.
Hmm.
But yeah, I don't know. That show just like
Yeah,
resonated with me a lot, especially the soundtrack too, because like music was such a big part of that show. Also,
yeah. I've seen a lot of clips from it and been like, okay, if I was like, if I had gotten into this instead of like, I don't know, example like Undertale, or like instead of like BFDI, or instead of like any of the things that I've gotten invested in, like that would have been like the thing. Like that, I don't know, I've seen a lot of things like that and been like, okay, that would have been the thing if I had not gotten into something else.
yeah, I'm like, I'm sure just YouTube like music also in general is just like I'm always wanting to learn more about it, like no matter what.
Yeah. Yeah, me too. I like music. I like listening to music. I like making music.
Yeah, it's like I don't know. That's kind of why I started doing these because like, I just wanted to learn more about it, and it's like a way to directly be able to do that.
Yeah. No, I fuck with that. I think that's cool. I mean, you know, because everything that you like learn as well is like something that you can apply to the next interview as well.
Like when you talk about AI, like no one has really brought up that like, perspective at all, like during these.
Oh, yeah. It's not a popular opinion to have because people think it destroys the environment, which is a lie. I don't know why they believe that because like getting in your car for one like 5 minute trip destroys the environment about 100,000 times more than every ChatGPT search that you've ever done combined. So like if you're worried about the environment that much, then why, you're not doxing people who use cars. I mean, it's really just empty moralism from people who don't understand what they're talking about. And it's ultimately a sentiment from like other leftists I see a lot, which is just almost like anti-computer, which I think is very stupid. So I don't know. I mean, that's just kind of how I operate. I'm very pro computer. I'm very pro artificial intelligence, just because I'm interested in it and I'm interested to see where it takes things. Because, if the world is like radically changed by this like new technology and shit, and we can use it in ways to teach ourselves things which might be, because like isn't it create like I don't know, I feel like, just personally, I feel like if we had AI in like the early 2000s, 100% it would have immediately like taken over the education system. Or like if we had access to the things we do today in like the 1990s, like people would be incorporating it into their work in some really interesting ways, just like they do now with Photoshop.
Mm-hmm.
Because there were skeptics of Photoshop when Photoshop. Most of the people that are mad at AI are not old enough to know about like the skeptics of Photoshop because they weren't around when Photoshop came out, and I wasn't either. I just care about like history and the truth and
I
stuff.
don't know. I
But
think AI is fine
uh,
as long as it's a tool. That's like my main like
yeah,
take.
yeah. That's my opinion on it as well. It's like a brush. It's only as good as whoever's hands it's in. If you are using it to educate yourself on things, That's amazing because you now have a tool in your pocket which can give you educational feedback on things and which you can use. I mean, of course, it hallucinates things, but if you're mindful of that and you use it properly, then that's not a problem. It's the same, premises. Like if you have like the internet in the wrong hands, the internet is terrible because people get, cyber stalked, harassed, everything. Doesn't mean we need to character take down morally anyone that uses the internet. It's just, I don't know.
Where it's the whole
It's
like
just,
guns don't kill people, people kill people.
I mean, I think gun culture kills people. I don't think guns kill people. I mean, I think gun culture definitely kills people. That's how I see it.
Mm.
Just how AI culture is bad for art, but AI itself is not. But AI culture of the Elon Musk fans on X.com have created is bad for art for sure. Just
Yeah.
just how gun culture is harmful to people's lives because, it causes less gun regulations. But ultimately, yeah, guns don't kill people because they're just a piece of metal. People make the choice to kill other people, or they kill people by accident through poor gun safety and negligence. I mean, you could make the argument, swords don't kill people. You could make the argument,
Bees don't kill people.
bees
Bees.
kill people.
They can, but
They're
that's
people.
not like what they're trying to do. But it can happen.
How do you know that? Are you the bees? Have you met them? Have you spoken to them?
I'm like 3 bees in a trench coat, actually.
Well, that doesn't seem. That's statistically unlikely.
They're really big bees, and they do all my research for me. That's how I know so much.
That's still statistically unlikely. A little less so because I don't know. I feel like 3 bees cannot be the size of a human, but
Well, you haven't seen these bees before.
I've seen a lot. I've done a lot. I've seen a lot of them. I don't know. You'd be surprised.
I'd be surprised. Mm, mm.
You might wasp surprise too. Like I've seen a lot of them.
So, I'm scared of bees,
I've
though. I wouldn't want to be 3 bees. I was lying. I'm not 3 bees. That would freak me out.
just scared of bees.
Yeah, bro. They're
I mean, I'm also actually pretty scared of bees. But now that I think of, well, I
is it
have
like a know your enemy kind of thing? Is that what it is?
I have great respect for them at a distance. I'm scared of bees just how I'm scared of communists. I think they're correct and I think that they're the right way of doing things, but I'm also scared of them because they don't like computers. Um, well, I'm just
I
trolling. I
mean,
think communists actually do like computers, but
I
I'm
feel like
just
bees.
talking
I don't
about
know
the
if a
end.
bee knows what a computer is.
You don't know that. You haven't spoken to them like I have.
That's probably true. That's probably true.
They talk to me, and so do angels. So I can listen to them if I tune into the right frequencies.
Yeah.
Bees,
Well.
mm, bees are nice creatures, but they are made to be respected at a distance. You need to be kind to them, respectful of them. If they tell you to fuck off, then you should do that because otherwise then they're gonna bring hell down on your life and cause you great pain.
Have you been stung
So you
before?
need to be I've been stung twice. Once by accident because I stepped on a dead bee on a beach when I was 5 in Greece. And then I was crying for a long time because I didn't expect that to happen. But that was when I was 5. I think I got stung by a bee another time when I was like 12, maybe. And that time I didn't cry. It was actually very mild. And I was surprised at how mild it was. But I think that's how syringes are now. Because I used to think that getting injections was the worst thing in the whole world every time when I was 5. But
Mm.
now I mean, I do an injection every like week for estrogen. So
That's when
that's
you want to do though. I feel that's a little different.
no, I honestly enjoy injecting things into my body. It's fun.
Yeah. Moving on though. So, due to the success of your song Glitter, you've grown an insane amount over the last year or so, having currently amassed 175,000 monthly listeners as of when we're recording this, making you the biggest artist that I've ever had the chance to interview on here. And I guess just like, I was wondering, because this all happened so fast, like, how has all this growth like
Mm.
affected you in your life?
It's just given me financial freedom in a few ways. That's about it. Really not that much. I don't have an ego about it. I don't I don't know. I feel like I have a big ego, but that's about other things. I have a big ego about heartstrings. I don't have a big ego about glitter. It just happened.
Mm-hmm.
I made something good. I capitalized on something good. I made something which fit a certain niche that people were looking for, and then I'm probably gonna do a little more of that in the future because I'm gonna have a more happy life. Because
Mm-hmm.
heartstrings is not something you make when you have a very happy life, whereas glitter is kind of, or it's something you make when you're trying to exude that, I guess. But I don't know. It really hasn't. I'm still just me, and I think that this is how I differ from a lot of artists of my size. They've all got their shit figured out because their growth was a lot more organic. But in reality, I think I probably have about like I probably have about like 20, 30,000 real monthly listeners that like want to listen to other stuff, and then I have like 150,000 glitter listeners. If I was to guess, I don't know the real numbers. I could probably check them, but shout out to the real ones, and the glitter listeners make me money, so shout out to them too. That's really how I feel about it. It's honestly, and it's not like I'm making like millions of dollars or anything. It's not like I'm in that ballpark. It's more just like, I'm not broke anymore like I was back in like, I don't know, this time last year I was pretty broke, and like before that I was pretty broke. So I don't know.
Yeah, I know. I know you were in like university before. Are you still gonna be going to like school, or are you like not doing that
Nah,
anymore?
nah,
No.
no, no way. No, I know it's the classic like thing of like, oh, I need to follow my dreams, right? But the university system is no longer the best way to educate yourself on things. The best way to educate yourself on things is now the internet, piracy, and AI. So if you want to educate yourself on things, go to Zlib. You know, don't go to university. Go to Zlib and find research papers and find, courses online for free and watch YouTube videos and educate yourself. The resources are all out there. What universities has become, especially in my country, because this is definitely a thing with the university I went to. Um, it really has just become a trap for international students, mainly coming from China, who have rich parents. And the university system basically takes it's an export. Like one of Australia's biggest exports is education, because so many international students come to Australia to study and then pay a lot of like fees for that. So I think that generally I'm not doing it because I don't want to be educated. I actually do want to be educated, but I think it's less efficient for me to pursue that rather than educating myself at my own pace. And that's just, I don't know. Obviously, this isn't like official advice, and I'm not an expert. I'm just 19, with fun ideas about the world, which I have picked up from various places. So don't take me as a primary source. I'm not like an education expert or anything, but this is what a lot of people are saying, and it is generally true to my life experience that like generally universities are not what they used to be, because I have stories of people going to university even like 20, 15 years ago. It was very different from their experience.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know.
I don't know. I'd argue that the biggest like benefit of going to university now is like the people you can meet there.
Yeah,
Like I feel
I
like
mean,
for me
I
like I
uh,
feel like what I'm trying to do, I don't necessarily need college. Like I'm in college, but
yeah.
I feel like the people I'm meeting there, things we're getting to do because of that, are like the main like benefits I'm getting.
No, I agree with that 100%, and I think that's the main reason I went there. But eventually, what started happening is that the workload I was under and the kind of loneliness I was facing from being me in a place like that was it was outweighing the benefits. I didn't
Mm-hmm.
really have proper connections the same way that others did because I'm insane, and I don't just mean like a lot of people who like might listen to this somewhat share my lifestyle in some ways, but I'm gonna say this word because I think it's fine to say it. We can reclaim it as 2025. To most normies, I am insane. Like I come off as insane. I work for 14 hours a day sometimes. I wake up at 2 in the morning sometimes. I wake up at 5 p.m. sometimes. I'm on stimulants all the time. I drink an insane amount of coffee. I eat very little compared to how much I should. I say things like wounded heart, like I come off as insane. And I think that that's fine. Not everyone's gonna understand that. Not everyone's gonna understand me generally, but I don't think I really internalized that before I went to college slash university. And when people like started meeting me, they genuinely just thought I was insane. So I I don't know. Like I don't know how to like say this properly, but I feel like I'm a very rare case of a person in society who is like a functioning insane person. Like when you hear about like functioning alcoholic or functioning this addict or functioning whatever, like high functioning autistic, whatever, all
Hmm.
these buzzwords that get thrown around, I genuinely think of myself as a high functioning insane person because I have all of the characteristics and weird quirks and things that I do that people say are insane, but I guess I just have the mind and this sort of ability to conduct myself in a way which is not it doesn't come off as that at first glance. Like I'm not the Joker or something, but I share a lot of Joker-like characteristics. I'll say that. I don't know if
That's
that makes any sense.
it's like a crazy
Hmm?
statement.
No, it's true. I see the whole world as a game. I mean, I see people as being very trapped by their own mind. I see chaos as a very positive thing, and I have a whole belief set around that, which I could talk about for a while, which I've created myself. I'm pretty crazy, but I'm crazy in a way which is good, and which I think benefits people because it adds something new to their lives which they may not have thought about. Something like heartstrings, and a lot of my music for that matter, could not be made by someone who is not like me. And I think like some people, like I've straight up had friends say that they think that I'm cringe or I'm corny for saying things like this, saying that I'm crazy or that I have Joker-like characteristics, but I'm just being honest and I don't put on facades. I don't do irony because actually there's been a lot of psychological studies that have come out in the last few years saying that like being ironic really has like the same impact on like if you like this is a proven thing in psychology. If you say something ironically enough, and if you have like a characteristic which you like to feign as ironic, that trait becomes real in you and you stop being able to tell. It has the same effect on your brain neurochemically as it does if you say it. And there's layers with it. I mean, obviously I can say I'm only ironically insane, right? Or am I only ironically drunk drive or what like, haha, I make drunk driving memes, right? But people make those memes and then they go out and then they actually drunk drive because they are memed into thinking it's like okay because they're doing it on a meta irony level, bro. Like they're doing it on a Zumo in a Zumo way. But no, they're actually just drunk driving or gambling, right? Like the whole like gambling memes,
Yeah.
they're funny as fuck and I like joking about them, but I don't actually gamble. The whole like gamble core like gambling memes, that's all like industry plants from iFunny by Stake. So Stake has paid iFunny users to promote gambling as a thing. All of this stuff is media manipulated. Like they can do this. These companies, they have billions of dollars. Do you think they're not going to pay a few fucking kids on Reddit to sign an NDA about posting some memes for $2 million? Yes, they're going to do that. They're going to make mimetic warfare teams. They're going to do this shit because they can. And no one knows about it. No one thinks about it. But, in terms of irony, I don't feign this stuff. I don't fake it. I really do believe I am crazy in a functioning way, in a societally functioning way. I believe that I am in psychosis in a societally functioning way about some things. And that's okay because that's what creates art. And I think art and psychosis, the difference between those two is a very fine line. So, you know, to anyone that thinks that I'm just making this stuff up or I'm just saying it or that I'm just like being ironic or whatever. No, I am crazy in a lot of ways, but it's in a way which I think is not harmful to others and is functioning within the society that I live in. I don't know if that makes sense.
No, I get what you mean. That you just have your own way of operating, as long as it doesn't harm other people. It's like fine.
Yeah. Well, I mean that's my whole I have this sort of holistic anarchist nihilism kind of attitude towards things where really unless you're harming people, I don't see a problem in doing things like it's fine.
Yeah. Also,
Ultimately, when it
this is
sorry.
unrelated, but why have you been using stone pickaxes like the entire time? Like I keep noticing that you break the stone pickaxe when you can make an iron one. You just choose not to.
Well, okay. So the thing about this world is I'm in one chunk right now. So I have a limited amount of iron. I can make iron pickaxes, but the thing about that is that I only have a limited amount of iron at my disposal right now. If I make a bunch of iron pickaxes, then I will run out of iron. And I want to be
Mm-hmm.
able to have iron in case I want to make certain things. Like if I want to make like I don't know, like an anvil, for instance, I'll need to have a certain amount of iron for that, so I'm saving for that. And I'm in a very limited space. There is one way I can get iron and it's zombies, but I don't have a reliable enough source of iron for that yet.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I've been using stone tools. It's not because I like stone pickaxes or anything. I know my inventory layout looks insane.
Yeah, I know.
Like
I
it really
just kept
is.
noticing throughout the interview, so I forgot how to say something about it.
I'm being like very like resource, I guess, friendly. Like I have a certain amount of things in this space. I'm trying to use them to their fullest potential and create something good in here, and then only then am I allowed to expand. That's basically how I'm doing it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. One thing I was also curious about is so like, is you leaving uni and music starting to like take off? Are those two correlated, or was this like it happened to happen at the same
Mhm.
time?
Yeah, glitter really started to pop off around the end of 2024, and I'm still like I don't know, like I'm technically like in university. Like I'm technically still a student by like enrollment definition, but seeing the money I could make off that and how I can expand it and how much happiness it gives me to be making a living off my music, that is more important to me than university. And also I think what also kind of instilled a kind of dissatisfaction with the university to me is that I know I'm wrapping around back to this, but it is pretty prominent in today's world is AI because the fact that the teachers didn't have time for me. They were doing these physics classes with highly complicated topics where people needed a lot of specialized help, and they didn't give me any specialized help in a lot of these situations. And they had classes like 70 students, and everyone was failing them because they just did not have the time and resources to give everyone help.
Mm-hmm.
And I am not someone who asks for things very much from people. I try to avoid asking for things from people. And this is like something that people know about me. So I think I get that from my dad. He doesn't ask for very many things. But I don't know. Like seeing that I can teach myself things with multiple tools on the computer. Because it's not just like AI being able to correct mistakes that you might make or or explore a topic with you, or it's not just, being able to find like free textbooks or free like informational content on YouTube or Zlib or any of these places. It's not just that. It's also like I feel like I was being ripped off, not just for my presence and money and all that stuff, because I have student debt now that I have to pay. I probably never will because I don't they're not asking for it, so I'm just gonna leave it. I don't really care. Um, I'll die before it becomes relevant to me in any way. Or I'll die or the world will end. Either one of those things will happen. Because if I don't think that I'm gonna die anytime soon, but if I have reached 40 and the world has not ended by then, I'm gonna be pissed. I'm gonna end the world myself. Because what the fuck? Like someone do something. Right? Like hello? So, but I'm saying like it wasn't just a waste of my money, it was a waste of time. It was
Mm-hmm.
so like time wasting. Like it just took out of me like because going to these classes, the only one I felt was really worth it was like Japanese. Japanese classes were teaching me a lot. And that's just because I was kind of immersing. I feel like if I went back there, I would just do like a Japanese course, but like, dude, that's just so expensive. They charge you like a lot for those
Yeah.
courses, and it's not money I'm willing to give when I could get a tutor, a personalized tutor that does the exact same thing as those Japanese teachers, and I could be paying them myself and have a one-to-one relationship with that teacher, in a way that I could never get from college. So that's kind of just my mentality with it. I think that ultimately it works for a lot of people that have a school system filled hole in their heart after they leave school. but I'm not one of those people. I graduated high school, or the high school equivalent. I got my HSC basically when I was 16. So I've been out of it for a long time. I took a gap year and a half when I was 17, and when I turned 18, I went to college, and then I spent 5 months there, and I was like, "What? Like this is a scam." So I don't know. It's just how I see it. Like I don't. I think it works for some people, but the specific configuration of things I wanted to do there was not going to work for me, and I might revisit it sometime in the future. But for now, like why not take the one thing that is very successful in my life and then run with it? Like, I don't know.
That makes sense though. I also
Yeah,
I think it's interesting that you don't operate like a big artist. If that makes sense. Like to do that, I literally
I
just hit you
don't.
up. I was like, "Do you want to do this?" You're like, "Yeah," and that was it.
Yeah, of course. No, I love talking to people. I love talking to people. I think it's so cool. I love talking to friends. I love talking to anyone who likes my music. I don't like even saying fans because I don't want to think of myself. I know that it's inevitable that I'm reaching a certain size, but I do have fans that I don't talk to on personal levels.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that, and that's an important distinction. But to me, it's like I don't see myself as above anybody, and I don't see myself as someone that should conduct myself differently to just like a random person with like 200 followers on Twitter. I'll say whatever's on my mind, like at the time. I'll just say it. I mean, like I wear my heart on my sleeve. That's my whole thing. I'm not mysterious, you know? I mean, there are probably some things about me which are mysterious just by nature, like my workflow maybe. Because but I stream that sometimes. Like I don't operate like an artist in of my size in the regular sense just because I don't think it's viable for me just because of how much I love like being friendly with people online, like talking to strangers.
Yeah.
And I think that I don't see Spotify fundamentally as anything other than a social media. And I don't treat it unlike my social media platforms or profiles. Like I treat my Twitter the same as I do my Spotify. I'll put things out there, and then if people like them, then they like them. I treat it just like any other account I would have on the internet. Like other people, they put these like advanced like photo shoots of themselves as their artist image, or they put like third person bios in their you know in their Spotify. But I just have like a regular PFP and bio in my Spotify because that's what's cool to me. I'm me. No one else is me, and I'm me in a way which is not a professional way. I'll never be a professional. I'll always be learning. I'll always be doing things in my way. And frankly, if I can influence more artists to be like me in that respect, I think it would be cool because I haven't seen anyone pull it off, frankly. Everyone that tries to pull it off either leans way too heavily into being like an online personality and doesn't take themselves seriously as an artist, or they lean so much into being an artist that they become like very disconnected and detached from their fans, which is probably
Mm-hmm.
the better of the two, I'd say.
I feel like Danny
Because if you're
Kyoko
not
is pretty
taking
close to what you're talking about. I feel like he's pretty easy to
definitely no,
approach.
Danny Kyoko is one of the most kind people I have met in my entire career as a musician. Danny Kyoko is so they're just a good person. Like they're just a really good person. They're just kind and genuine and loving and supporting of everyone that they genuinely fuck with, and I think it's so important. I mean, and I think Danny Kyoko is able to do that in a way which I'm not. Danny Kyoko is way more approachable than I am in some ways because I'm a little bit misanthropic, but Danny Kyoko is like such a sweet person, like genuinely one of the nicest people I've ever spoken to. So yeah, I think that that's definitely accurate, I'd say. I take a lot of influence for them in how I produce like more like trap oriented beats,
Mm-hmm.
I'd say for sure. Because honestly, I think Danny has a very unique production style, which people need to tap into more. Because a lot of people, I don't know, I feel like a lot of people are like more tapped into Danny as a vocalist or like an artist as than than as a producer. But like they're really, really good as a producer
Yeah,
as
they've
well as
inspired so
being
many
really,
like
really, really
production waves too, and people don't even know like they're the one that started it all at the time.
yeah, yeah, no, it's pretty impressive, like honestly. No, I'll have to check out the interview you did with them because I don't know.
Yeah, because I have an interview with them, and then there's like a video we did all about their most recent album. Also,
Oh yeah, that's so cool.
Danny's the goat
No, I'll
though.
check. For sure. I'll check that out.
Yeah, I guess it was
No,
just
I'm in Sutetchi, so.
yeah, duh. I forgot because there's so many members. It's like hard to keep track.
No, and I think it's cool that it's like a very expansive collective. It's fun. I feel like I'm like a bit ashamed of like how I've been so busy with my album lately that I haven't really had a chance to be a part of things properly. But like the Sutetchi circle is like full of really talented people.
Yeah, it's like I feel like Sutetchi is kind of like 1C in that regard, where it's like you kind of fall under the label, but then it moves as like a unit. If that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Because like I checked on SoundCloud, and I think there's like 40 people Sutetchi, which is like insane. So
Yeah. You know, it's cool. I mean, I think it's more of like a collective than a label per se.
yeah,
Because if, you know, I mean, if we're saying everything is a label, then I'm part of like five different labels. I'm part of like, well, not five. I'm part of Sutetchi. I'm part of Spike Chain, which is like my label. I'm part of Wounded Heart, which is my little collective. Like, I don't know. So,
yeah. I think it makes sense that like considering that you like say that you like live on the internet, it makes sense that you wouldn't have this like big audience change how you operate because that's just who you are.
yeah. Yeah. No, it doesn't change anything. I could have a million monthly listeners and I'd still be like how I am today. I really would. It wouldn't change anything.
Yeah.
I would if I had a million monthly listeners, I would act exactly as I do right now. And I've tweaked how I've acted over the years just because of like changing from being in a gaming community to music, but like this is about how I'm gonna get. Like I've been pretty similar to this for a couple of years now.
hmm I guess looking into the future though, because it seems like each
Mm.
passing day you continue to grow as an artist, both in terms of audience size and just as a musician and person in general. So it makes you sad to see what the future holds for you. So what do you think is next for LeXYCAT?
An album about living in the world as its current state. That's what my next big project will be. Or maybe something else of that Nate like another like medium, like a different type of big project that like is a part of like that idea of generally living in how it feels to be me and live in the world in the current state. Speaking to experiences that like a lot of people have, common experiences that I feel like a lot of people are missing out representation for.
Mm-hmm.
No one out here is making albums about what it feels like to browse the For You page. They're making albums about what it feels like to get like, you know, $200,000 and then fuck three people, which is like that fun. That's fun, and it's fun to exaggerate, and it's fun to brag about that, even if you are doing that, because like fuck yeah, dude, like go ahead, right? But like, I feel like a lot of people need to be represented in some ways, and I don't feel represented when people say things which are like strictly boastful. When people say things which are fun and boastful and also have an essence of like the real world in them and like exaggerate only in some ways, but also like that like that's why I'm so like I don't know. And I feel like the underground is full of talent to do just that, where they're talking about like their real lives and shit that they're doing, as well as saying that they bought the entire Balenciaga shop like
Mm-hmm.
out. Like I don't know. It's full of cool like juxtapositions between that kind of thing, and I have huge respect for it all. Like I'm I don't know. I feel like it's fun to do a bit of both, and that's my goal. My goal is to basically my goal from now on in a lot of ways, just in terms of like as an artist and as an art project, I think my latest albums have been kind of a look into the underground and also a sort of alternative take on it because really I take inspiration from some musicians which don't do that similar stuff to me. Like people like Jane, I would say do very similar things to me. Whereas I don't know, there are other artists who don't maybe do this as similar stuff to me as you think, but like in terms of people like Jane, like the underground is basically at wherever she's at any given time. And I'm talking more of the sort of like the like dead air revolving, like the dead air orbiting underground.
Mm-hmm.
Not the more like rap focused underground. I'm talking about this the kind of like you know what I'm talking about with that.
Yeah.
And I generally that's been my circle of influence for a long time, for like a couple of years now. My goal is to kind of make a project which feels like not even just a project, but feels like what's the state of underground pop going to be like in 2027? How can I make that this year? Or how can I make what underground pop is going to sound like in 2035? How can I make that right now? That's my goal at the moment. And I'm still figuring out how I can do that, but I have some ideas basically. I think it'll obviously anything I make will of course be a product of its time, even if it's ahead in some ways, because that's just how music is. You know,
Yeah.
you can make things with ideas that are ahead of their time, but you can't make anything that isn't a product of its time. And everything also is, you know, of course, can be politically influenced by whatever is going on in society at the time I make things. But like for instance, for now, it's like Trump, China, AI, you know, rare earth mineral mining, global tensions, Russia, Ukraine, Israel, Palestine, all, you know, all of that type of stuff, right? That's what's going on right now, and that's what society is thinking about right now. And generally, I think that people are thinking about, you know, the empathy crisis and brain rot on social media, and those are some themes I want to explore, I feel like, because I feel like they're not explored enough in terms of music in the current underground. And I think it's hard to make music that talks about the society we live in without like being lame in a sort of early 2010s. Oh, we live in a society. I don't know if you know the cartoon I'm talking about when I tell you about like Steve Cuts with that one like the only thing was like 2,000 people in like a rat race and they're all on their iPhones and this one like chud bald kid who looks like he looks like baby Rick and Morty and he's like walking along and he's the only one not on his phone and he's like sad and everyone's killing the environment like that. It's hard to like it's on the nose. Like it's hard to not talk about the current state of the world and like political affairs and like make art about that without coming off that way.
Yeah.
But I really want to. I really want to like I really want to make something which is just like genuinely talking about the state of things and what it not just the state of things but what it feels like to live in that world. But to be honest, that's just where I am right now. After Dark Blossom was done, I thought I would be in a completely different place for for my next album. Like I didn't have any idea about heartstrings being a thing.
Well, because it's based on
I
your
had no
personal
idea.
experiences too that you hadn't had yet. So
Yeah, exactly. And yet somehow that feeling was there from the very second that I dropped Dark Blossom, that era, you know. And I've had a certain feeling about certain things I want to make, maybe just like a couple EPs or something smaller in the coming, you know, time. But there are a lot of aspects of the 2000s, the late 2000s entertainment kind of aesthetic that I have not explored yet, which I really would like to. I'll say that.
yeah, and maybe any like I know you don't collab super often, but like any artists you'd like to work with that you haven't yet, maybe.
Any artists I'd like to work with or I haven't worked with, I mean, obviously the artists that influenced me the most, like Jane, you know, Lucy Bedrock. I don't know. I feel like if Jane and I were to make a song, it would be like too much though. Like I feel like like it would be like getting like two writers to try to edit the same book. Like I feel like we
Mm-hmm.
would just like do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I think we could do it and we could probably make something fucking amazing, but we would definitely try to like if Jane like fucked with me and wanted to make like a collab of some kind, then we would get too excited and like make this like put too many ideas on the same song. I know I would because people criticize me for trying to put too many ideas on the same thing and I know that people have said that about her music as well, where she's just like too like hyperactive and shit. So like I don't know, I feel like I honestly if the it's weird, but if there's anyone I really want to work with right now in an interesting way, it's Netspend. I feel like I could make Netspend the most insane beat that you could possibly think of. And that would like ruin the underground for ages because everyone would be trying to clone it. I would make the most fucking ridiculous beat you could possibly think of if I were to work with Netspend. I could make something that sounds terrible. I could make Netspend's Whole Lotta Red. Like I could do that. And everyone would hate it, and then the whole underground would clone it in like 5 years. I know I could do that. it would become like crazy. I've wanted to do something like that for ages, where I make something that just sounds like shit, but everyone can't stop listening to it. And I think for
I
Netspend,
mean,
as someone who had
that's what
that
Neston
like
was at
that
first,
moment,
though. Like that was his whole
that's
thing.
what Netspend was at first to a lot of people. People hated his music, but they couldn't stop listening to it. Personally, I think that's a sign of a good artist. I think Netspend is a good artist. I don't think he's a bad artist, and I think in terms of presentation, he's an amazing artist. You know, I like my girlfriend's been to a lot of concerts, and she told me that because I mean I couldn't make it because I'm not I'm not in the States, but she told me that the Netspend concert that she's been to is one of the best, and the visuals for it were like amazing and shit like that. Like, and I know that Netspend also like does a lot of stuff himself because he comes from the sort of the Zoomer underground. So I don't know. More in terms of like the reception of it. If I were to like cook some like diabolical shit up with Netspend, like that would get that would change things up a lot.
I mean, I feel like if you have the audience size now, I feel like you could do it on your own even.
Yeah, oh, well, I'm trying to. That's my plans for the
Mm-hmm.
future. But like the people I could reach if I had the Netspend lab would be like ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like people because people are tuned the fuck into Netspend, especially right now. But I mean anyone in like anyone in that kind of like zone, like definitely like Xavier based as well, or like I don't know, like Che. Those artists are really like those artists are really good, but I feel like Netspin has a certain pull of people like thinking that like he's shit but not being able to stop listening to him, which I think is bad listening practice. I think that if you can't stop listening to something, it's good, and I've kind of held that principle for myself for a long time, that anything good is something interesting which captures you and keeps you listening. Because if something captures you as terrible and you remember it for being terrible and you don't stream it intentionally, that's bad. But if you remember something as bad, but then you just keep listening to it like on your free time, that's not ironic anymore. You're not ironically listening to that artist. You're just listening to their music,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like that's what a lot of people did for Netspend, and I think that's shit practice. I think that's people being insincere. I sincerely like Netspend's music, and I think that, but I also do think that there is that element of it that people have this kind of irony-pilled idea where they want to be able to consume someone's artwork while still thinking it's shit. And if I could essentially poison that mentality out of people by making it eat itself alive if I did the Netspend lab. That's why I want to, essentially. Because irony is so destructive as a consumption tool because it makes people call you terrible and then stream you 20 times a day anyway. It's terrible. Meta irony and the idea of this like post irony, I'm only doing this post ironically, is like it's made people so like anti artist and against the things they actually listen to and like that they don't tell people what their taste is genuinely. They just tell people whatever they like want them to believe their taste is.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like it's so like sad. It's just disingenuous. It's just not real. It's not their real taste. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I think it's been real. It's been a really long interview, and as the
Yes,
episode comes
sorry,
to a
I've
close, is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
Zilla. I know I already did, but also I mean everyone in Wounded Heart as well. Like all my friends, uh, especially my beloved wife. But in terms of like music stuff, Zilla, because Zilla has carefully helped me like learn how to do a bunch of mixing shit and taught me a bunch of new procedures and technologies that I would never have learned without them. And I really think that they're gonna go like very far in life. So shout out.
Yeah. Well, shout out all those people, and shout out LexiCat. Thank you so much for doing this. This is
Shout
I
out
haven't
you.
edited it yet, but this is probably the longest interview that I've like ever done. So
I'm so sorry. I'm so
no,
sorry.
this was
It took
great.
forever.
It was really cool just hearing your perspective on everything, especially because there's a lot of
Yeah.
stuff that's just never been talked about in any of these. Also, shout out your Minecraft gameplay as well. I think you were right that it was needed because I don't know. I feel there's like a different vibe for this one than the other ones I've done have had. So I feel like
Yeah.
it's a welcome thing. But
Well, I hope people can enjoy me mining a bunch of rock for
for 3
however
hours,
long they. Yeah. Jesus, it's been that long. Okay.
But all of her links will be in the description down below. So if you're not tapped in with LeXyCat and you're at the end of the interview, like all the way at the end, which is crazy, definitely go do that. Go check her out. I'll also have 3 of my favorite songs by her on the Hidden Driveway playlist around Spotify and SoundCloud. So if you want like a quick intro to her work, that'll be there too. And is there anything else that you'd like to say before we just wrap it up?
Fuck the government!
True. All right. Well, I'm Amu. This has been the Hidden Driveway Show. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.
See ya.